views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our April meeting. I need to put my glasses back on. Hello. Welcome to our April meeting of Community Board 12. My name is Dr. Michael Burke, and I am your chairman this evening, and I will be guiding you through the meeting today. So I'd like to thank all of you that are on. Hopefully you will learn something that is extremely informative for everybody here. We have quite a bit to get to this evening, and hopefully you will, again, as I said, not only learn something, but figure out what's happening in our community and find a way to make it better. Because after all, our theme this year is transformation to greatness. So without any further ado, I would like to call on our second vice chair and a friend of mine, Mr. John Isaac, to open us up with a word of prayer. So John, if you would open us up with a word of prayer, please.
All right. Uncover everyone. Dear Heavenly Father, come to you this evening as a community, as a whole. And personally, I'm asking you, dear Lord, to heal us, to put your hands around us. This has been a tough week for our nation with all the issues going on in the world, the shootings, the pain, the suffering. It was personally tough on myself and my family, and just would like to say, please, dear Lord, take care of all my friends and my family. So this in the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Amen. So thank you, Mr. John Isaac, our second vice chair, for opening us up in a word of prayer. Next, I would like to ask all of you who are willing to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And so let us begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty,
and justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Amen. So thank you very, very, very much, everybody. We really appreciate you, and we appreciate that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show everybody the agenda so that we can take a look at the agenda. So hang on for a second, please. Just bear with me. Let's see, agenda, let's see, share. Hope that's not it. Okay, let's see. Go agenda. Here we go. So what we would like to do is, hopefully everybody can see that. So what we would like to do is take a look at the agenda. So of course, as I said before, our theme is transformation to greatness. And so the agenda will be as follows. First, we will have our public gallery session. Then of course, we will listen to our elected officials, the greetings that they come and bring us. Next, we will hear from Ms. Alexis Ruiz, who's representing the Bronx Borough President. Then, of course, I will give my report, and the district manager will then give his report. We will then approve the minutes, and we will go into the financial report, or maybe a financial update, if I can say that. We will then have a special presentation from the Rosborough Community Partnerships, and Mr. Torre will be in to give us an update on that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to vote on committee recommendations, and in particular, the amendment to the bylaws to include the discipline committee, which of course is a mandate from the borough president's office. We're then going to go into the White Plains Road Safety Improvement Plan and talk about that ever so briefly and vote on it. We're going to talk about city planning and the HPD joint stakeholders meeting. I see Mr. Weinstein is on. So I think I have an update on that. Last but not least, we're going to get into executive officer nominations for the next year. And unfortunately, we have some unpleasant business that we have to deal with. And last but not least, we're going to talk about alternatives to the upcoming MIH housing proposal, in particular at 4541 Furman Avenue, and some things that we would like to see in place of what they would like to propose. So what I would like is, if possible, I would like a motion to accept the minutes. Okay, so I see Mr. Isaac has raised his hand. He made the motion. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Robert Hall. So all those in favor, raise your hand. Signal by saying aye. All opposed have the same right. Motion passes. So let's go on. So now we accept the agenda. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the public gallery section. And so this month we are going to do something different. So normally I've been running the public gallery session, but what normally happens is that if we are meeting, hopefully we'll be meeting back here soon, but normally if we're in our regular meeting where everybody's in person, the first vice chair of the community board runs a public gallery session. And so what we actually want to do is actually try to get back to that and see how it works. And so the first vice chair and I have been talking about that. And so we want to incorporate her in this particular process. Moreover, normally the second vice chair is the timekeeper, but I think I've been told that I'm the timekeeper nonetheless. So I will do that as a direction of the first vice chair. So what I'm going to do, her mic is unmuted, so I'm going to allow her to run this. So Madam First Vice Chair, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm so glad that you are here. So what I'm going to do now is call, if anybody wishes to speak, please raise your hand. Just raise your hand and I will call on you as I could see your hand raised, okay? But I have two people who have already requested the opportunity to speak. Each person who speaks, you're going to get 3 minutes, okay? And when you have about 30 seconds left, we're going to just give you a hint and let you know that your time is almost up, okay? So if we could agree with that, I will go ahead and
Madam First Vice Chair, can I make one correction?
Yes.
When you tell them to raise their hand, they need to scroll over by where their name is and raise their hand that way. So in other words, so for instance, where their name is, if they're on the participant list, if they if they click the raise hand button, then they could raise their hand that way. And also, if they're on the phone, then they need to hit *9 in order to raise their hand.
Okay.
So those are the only corrections, Madam First Vice Chair.
Now, let me ask you, I just want to ask one question too. There is a reactions button at the bottom of the screen?
Yes.
I have that. They could also raise their hands that way?
Let's see. No. It's just recognizes hand gesture. Yes, actually you can. Yes, I'm sure you can. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
all
I
right.
see that too. Yes, okay.
Okay.
That is there.
Okay, good. So either one, you can raise their hands. Now, let me see if this person is on here. Okay, they're not here yet, Miss Abigail Martin. So right now I want to call Patrice Grant. Patrice Grant, who's from Rain. Okay, so you are now on galleries, on the public gallery. All right. You can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes, okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so good afternoon, community and board members. My name is Patrice, and I'm grateful to have the pleasure to speak with you all. Thank you, Ms. Green, for adding me to the speakers list. I'm a social work intern at the agency RAIN, and I attend CUNY Lehman College. I'm here to highlight RAIN Total Care Inc. home attendant services. Since 1964, RAIN has been addressing the social determinants of health through our many services of access to care through case assistance and case management, especially for those who are homebound, Meals on Wheels, our home delivered food program, especially for clients of any age that are homebound, senior centers. Those centers are currently closed to the public due to COVID-19 precautions. These centers enable older adults to enjoy their retirement years through the provision of activities and a friendly community. These are just a few services out of the 20 that are provided by RAIN Total Care. The agency's mission is to enhance the well-being and quality of life by meeting the immediate needs of people of all ages. We serve even children with developmental disabilities, such as autism, but especially we serve older adults who lack a sufficient support system to remain safe and comfortable at home. One of our goals is to strive to provide the best services of helping seniors to continue to positively function within their societies and within their homes. As your theme is transformation to greatness, we ask that you please spread the word about RAIN home attendance services so that the individuals who can benefit in this community can enjoy this specific service of RAIN. We are also hiring home health aides. It is important to us that we are able to provide jobs within the communities we serve, your community. We are non-for-profit, mission-driven, and a minority-led organization that is representative of our community. Thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate your sharing and circulating this information. For more information, please visit our website at raininc.org or call us at 718-892-5520. I'll also include the contact information in the chat. Have a blessed day.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Grant. Okay. Next, we have Lavender Ross. Lavender Ross. Okay.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hi.
I'm feeling a bit under the weather, so please excuse my voice. I'm going to try to make this a little under the 3 minutes to save myself. So I'm actually speaking for Project Hope today. And so New York Project Hope is a statewide crisis counseling response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And what we're doing is we're basically trying to help New Yorkers recover through this pandemic by helping them understand their emotions and providing them with the resources that they need. We're funded by FEMA, we're administered by SAMHSA, and we're managed by the Office of Mental Health. So to break that down is we're basically an emotional support helpline. And we have trained crisis counselors such as myself who help offer free, anonymous, and confidential services to everyone. We basically listen to their needs, we help them identify their emotions, and then we assess them by giving them the resources that they need afterwards. They can feel free to call between the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every single day. And we also have crisis counselors who speak Spanish as well. So we've noticed that many people who do call, they're feeling a wide variety of emotions. They're feeling stressed, anxious, isolated, scared. And we try to help them, one, as I said, identify that. We listen to them. Sometimes people just want room to vent. And then we help them by listening to that conversation. And then we say, you know what, you need X, Y, and Z resources. So we also have a website for everyone, for those people who aren't ready to pick up the phone and make that call, but more so just want to check out what New York Project Hope is. We have tips and tricks for coping, ways to communicate, ways to relax as well. And we do all of this, we make it easy and simple for everyone to just go to the website. For those people who, as I said, aren't ready to make that call, but are ready just to kind of get some more information about Project Hope. And so some of the services that we've actually been able to help people with are helping them to locate food banks, housing assistance, financial planning, childcare, health needs, and education. We've actually done really good work right now with working with the local schools. We've been speaking to teachers, families, their parents, and the kids as well. And we're helping them out. We're helping them to understand what they're going through. And then we've been assessing the needs as well. So a little bit about Northside Center. We're actually affiliated with Northside Center, and many people don't know, but it's founded by Doctors Kenneth and Mamie Clark. And they were actually known for their groundbreaking research of the black and white
30
test
seconds, Ms. Ross.
Oh, 30
seconds.
seconds. Okay, great. Well, that's just a little bit about them. That was actually help to, legally end segregation. So please, we're hoping that you can welcome us with open arms so we can help your constituents.
Okay, thank you so much, and good luck with Project Hope. I am familiar with Project Hope because we promote Project Hope when we do our mental health trainings and our
Awesome.
training, the conversations on COVID. Project Hope is one of the agencies that we do tell people that they can call if they need some assistance, okay, especially with emotional support. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so next I have Renee Patterson. Renee Patterson. If anybody who just joined us wishes to speak, just look at the reaction buttons and you could raise your hand, or you could hover your mouse over your name and raise your hand, okay? So Renee Patterson is next.
Hello.
Yes.
We can hear you now.
Hi. Okay. Good evening,
Good evening.
community. Good evening, full community board, and of course, community neighbors. I hope all is well, and COVID is running away from Community Board 12. I'm
Your phone is
Coalition.
okay.
Seton Falls Park is located at Baychester Avenue, east to 33rd Street, Crawford Avenue, between PS 111, Bronx Better Learning, and John Philip Sousa campus. Please come and visit us. We would love to have you. I'd like to speak on two issues as quickly as possible, my 3 minutes. I would like to see an extension of the Bronx Manhattan Express bus service that stops at Eastchester Road and Boston Road at Eastwood Manor to come all the way down Boston Road to Corner Street. That would be just an additional 4 stops. And the bus comes down that way anyway because it has to go into the Co-op City bus garage. So instead of making the last stop at Eastchester and Boston Road, it would make 4 additional stops. That would increase ridership, and it would help those of us that would like to go downtown. And now that we're senior citizens, we can't get up until the Dyer Avenue and the Baychester Avenue stations. It's just too many stairs. So if someone could look into that, very appreciative on that. And my second issue, is there a Boston Road Merchants Association? And if there is, can somebody really get that Merchants Association to clean up a little bit more and to try to make the Boston Road shopping area a little bit more attractive? Thank you for your time and attention.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Patterson. All right, now next we have Natasha Boston. Are you unmuted? No?
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay. Yeah, it said I couldn't. Hi,
Okay.
good evening, everyone in community board.
Good evening.
Hi. My name is Natasha Boston. I'm joining here today. I live on East 220th Street. Here on White Plains. I'm here representing myself as a homeowner and 6 other homeowners on my block. We have some concerns about the house on our block. It's 739 East 220th Street. It's a former home that was closed and now it's being renovated. And we have some concerns for the past few months that we tried to take care of ourselves, but we need the community's help. The house is almost finished, and we would like, when the Department of Buildings does its final inspections, that a community board or an elected official go with that person to ensure that the house is following the plans of being, whether it's 2 family or 3 family, it's not turning into anything it's not supposed to be on our block and in our community, and that the owner is following the rules of the plan. Secondly, we would like to, if we able to get that community board official or elected official to go see that house when it's finished with the Department of Buildings, we would like to know how do we follow up to ensure that it did follow the plans of the block and the Department of Buildings Forum. And third question we have is, moving forward, what is the process when a house is being changed from a 2-family to a 4-family or to a building? How are we as homeowners and on the community being notified of this change? What was the process? Because nobody remembers getting anything, so if maybe we missed it. So we could be clear what the process is. That's all.
Hi, this is George Ajuria.
Mm-hmm.
We have a long history with 739 East 220th Street. I'm going to read you Department of Buildings response. So the complaint came originally from Mona Richardson, I guess, who previously owned the home. She had made several complaints about it, claiming that they were doing an illegal expansion of it. And Department of Buildings, there are permits on file. Anybody can go and check their website. They are building according to plans. Department of Buildings, if you are a private homeowner and you file a job with DOB, it is not the community board's job or any elected official's job or anybody else's job, except for the Department of Buildings, to go and look at that home. You have zero right to go and inspect somebody else's home as a member of the community. That is not your prerogative. That is not the prerogative of any elected official. These are private homes. These filings are made public so that people can see it. But when they're done on inspection, that's it. If the building department says that this is fine, or if in many instances, if it's not a new building, it can be self-certified by the architect or the engineer. They're putting their license on the line for verification purposes. But, as far as requesting a community board member or an elected official to sort of step in and look at this house, especially given, and I'm going to say this because I've said this constantly for the last 6 years, the city of New York is not your tool to make complaints against neighbors. We've dealt with this with Miss Richardson. Ursula's dealt with her. I've dealt with her. I don't know who you are, Miss Brown, but you have the right to make the complaint. You just don't have the right to your own facts. The fact is that the building department went out, inspected it. It's on the building's website. This is public information. You can go to the address right now, 739 East 220th Street, and you will see that no violations were filed because they were building according to plans. So the idea that somebody's spreading rumors that they're expanding this so that they can make this into some sort of homeless shelter is not the case.
Okay. Now, I saw Dr. Banks. Did you want to speak? Because I saw your hand up and then I saw it down. Dr. Banks? Okay. You're okay? All right. Well, right now, I don't see any other hands raised. Yes, Dr. Burke. And
Okay,
Mr.
So
Castro.
I see Mr. Castro has his hand up.
Yeah.
I just unmuted Professor Banks. I want to give Ms. Brown a chance to respond, but we did, and I see Pam in here too. So I just unmuted Professor Banks. So let's go ahead if she wants to say anything. So Professor
You want me to
Banks,
hold off for the response and come back when you guys finish the dialogue from the previous conversation?
what are you talking about, Professor Banks? I thought you don't want to speak.
Yeah, I would, but I didn't want to disrupt the previous conversation.
Right. Yeah. So
That-
I want to see. So I see Ms. Boston here. So I want to give her a chance to respond if there's a response, if she needs to respond to the district manager. So yeah. So let's do that, Professor
I
Banks.
can
So
wait.
I'll mute you again, and let Ms. Boston respond to the district manager.
Okay. All right. So I was typing him in the chat because I thought it was over. I thought his response was that was it. So I just was saying to the district manager that I was unaware of the 6 years because of a complaint because the house has been sitting there for so long since I moved in the block in 2013. But I didn't accuse them of anything. So I don't anything or the group didn't accuse them of anything. We just wanted to be sure that the house is not going to be turned into something without us being notified. That we know we already have like a halfway house on the block. Like we just want to know what's the kind of clause for us to know that this is going to be turned into like a residential and nothing else, and what process that is for us as residents to know. And if no one can go look at it, then I guess there's nothing we can do there. I'll let them know that. But the next question, I guess the follow-up was, what's the process for us to know of any changes to the community on our block? That was it. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
All
so
right.
did you get all? So, I guess my question to you is, I'm sorry, Madam First Vice Chair. So, did you get all your questions answered? Is my question to you. You did. Okay. Great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Banks, Dr. Banks. Okay, Mr. DeCastro, we're going to come to Mr. DeCastro after we finish with Dr. Banks. And then we have Ms. Carmen King. Did you have your hand raised? Okay. All right. So Dr. Banks and Pam.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Price, Diane Price Banks. I'm representing Bronx Community College and a member of the community. I've been getting a lot of requests from Montefiore on 233rd and some other hospitals throughout the Bronx, but specifically in our neighborhood, 233rd. They are in dire need of clinical laboratory scientists. So I wanted to have the opportunity to present the MLT program at Bronx Community College because our neighborhood is in need of clinical laboratory technicians and technologists. A clinical laboratory technician and technologist is someone who works in a laboratory in Montefiore on 233rd, and they provide diagnostic tests. So they run tests like diabetes, cholesterol, cancer, etc. They're in dire need of employees. We are the only MLT program in the Bronx. So if you want to, if you know any community members that are in need of a job, this would be an avenue to help them with economic growth. Right now, many people, as you know, the laboratory, this is Lab Week. We're celebrating Lab Week. Shout out to all the lab professionals out there. They're running COVID-19 tests 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're overwhelmed. It's not enough employees. So I'll be in the chat if you want more information, but we desperately need to fill these ranks that are lost. We lost some people from retirement. We lost people due to COVID-19. So we need to fill these ranks. And I just wanted to make mention of that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Banks. All right, Mr. DeCastro. See Mr. DeCastro. Have you unmuted him?
Okay. I just had him, Mr. DeCastro. Oh, there he is. Okay, he was unmuted, and then he muted himself again. Mr. Castro. Okay, Mr. Castro. Okay.
All right. So, Ms.
Hang on for a second. He done hit. Okay. You on your computer? Hit the space bar, Mr. Castro. Hit the space bar. Hang on. Let me see what's going on.
All right. Can you hear me now?
All right. Yeah, now we can hear you, Mr. Castro. Yes, sir.
All right. Quite a battle. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, the members of the board, and Manager Torres. 56 years ago, my family and I moved into our own home here in East 224th Street. Our daughters attended PS 78, 142, and 135. Eventually, they all graduated from college. After many years, we saw the need for a block association, and we established the East of Laconia Community Association. During the term of 35 years, the East of Laconia gave lunches, block parties. We gave out over 300 scholarships over the years. Now we are faced with a problem that I need your help. A group of men have decided to ensconce on the corner of 224th Street, right off the corner of Laconia Avenue. They've been there for over a year. I brought this complaint to the 47th precinct. They made 2 arrests. The men went away for a short period of time. Now they're back. You know, when you live in a community, we fought for many years to make this a safe community and a community to raise children. Now to have a group of men come there and loiter with their own garbage pails and their chairs, they leave there overnight and come back the next day. It's a very, very terrible thing to happen in our community. We have fought too long to make this community safe and clean, and I can't see it go down. Now, I'm asking the community board, I did speak to Mr. Torres the other day, but I'm asking the community board to help us. Because if someone comes in this community and wants to purchase a house, and they see all these men hanging out on the corner all day, 7 days a week, it's going to be difficult. I am a community person. I've fought in this community for many, many years. I'm not going to give up now. I'm 94 years old, and I need your help. And I need your help now. And it's not just for me, it's for the community. Nobody else, we no longer have an association because nobody seems to want to join. But I think it's important that a community board do what they can. And maybe, like Mr. Torres suggested, I guess you mentioned it, that we suggest some type of a meeting with the 47th precinct, because other community people have made complaints and they're not getting the responses we should get. So I will end with that and just pray that you will help us, and I'm willing to do whatever we can to make it a safe community. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. DeCastro. Ms.
Madam First
King?
Vice Chair, can I comment right quick, please?
Sure.
And I see George's got his hand up too. So, Mrs.
Yes.
Castro, I know that you've been an active member of this community, and I didn't know you were 94, so God bless you. I know that you fought alongside my grandmother, God rest her soul. So I
Amen.
know the work that you did, and so if you come a call, and we're going to be there. So I know that George is going to respond. So we'll get briefed on it, and make no mistake about it that you will definitely be hearing from us, and we're going to do our best to make certain that we make this situation right by you. So you have my word on that from me to you, Mr. Castro. So and I know George wanted to comment as well.
Yeah, so Al is absolutely correct. We spoke a couple of days ago. I reached out to the 4-7, Al. So it's good to see you. I'm always happy to see you. They agreed to the meeting. They couldn't do it right now. So we have some planning to do, but I will be reaching out to you, Al, because if Renee is still on the call, and Dr. Burke will remember from the 4-7 precinct council meeting that we had, a lot of these issues were raised at that meeting. I see Pam Johnson is on the call as well. So that led to Al calling me asking for assistance. I reached out to the inspector through Police Officer Hyman. She agreed. She called me yesterday, as a matter of fact, to say that the Inspector Nunez agreed to sitting down and having a conversation, because it seems like the issues that were raised by Renee and yourself, Al, these are reoccurring problems that are not necessarily being addressed on an ongoing basis. And there's a priority given to, the most urgent 911 calls. But we also don't want to forget about homeowners like you, because you are the stakeholders, you are the year one residents, you are the ones that have been here for the longest, and we want the NYPD to be responsive to you as well. So, like I said, the inspector said yes to having the meeting. We just, I guess, between all of us, logistically, we'll just have to figure out, what the best date and time for that is.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, I had Carmen King.
Hello, I'm Carmen King. I'm a resident of East 220th Street between Barnes and White Plains Road. Also very concerned about the 739 property. I understand that everything is being followed to the letter according to the permits as per now. But oftentimes, by the time we find out what's actually happening in a building, it's too little, too late. This community this block has turned from a completely residential area with private homes to an area that has lots of big buildings. I remember when the private house was torn down across the street from me. I received a notice prior to it happening saying, okay, this is what's going to happen. There's going to be a 722 and a 724. And we're finding now that big buildings are going up and we have no notice. And that the area is turning from being private homes to larger buildings, which creates problems with parking because a lot of these buildings don't have, of course, driveways or garages. So we just concerned that if there is anything that can be done where homeowners are notified ahead of time when structural changes are going to happen. I understand that, private businesses or private people can purchase homes and I guess do with it whatever is within the bounds of our city limits. Still, I feel like there's a common courtesy that should happen to the residents of the block so that they know ahead of time what is going to happen. And we have no recourse if suddenly we have a halfway house and we had no idea that it was coming. There are children on this block, and there are not enough services for some of the populations that are being placed on 220th Street. And I just feel like something should be done. And if there is something that we can do, I'd like to be informed so I can go ahead and proceed and get that into action.
Okay. Any comments, George?
Okay, well,
Mr.
let me
Burke?
take that
Yeah,
first, Madam
hold
First Vice Chair, and then
Yeah.
I'm sure George will come in. So, I'm kind of glad that Mr. Weinstein is on so he can actually kind of hear this because as you
But
guys
before
know,
you get there, Mike, this is not that.
no, I know that. I was about to say,
Okay.
I was about to say something else. So what
right.
I'm saying is that, what we know is that we cannot stop anybody from developing. And so as you said, if they purchase the property and it's as of right, then as long as it's within the zoning code, they can put up whatever they want to put up. So one of the things that we do try to do is we do try to monitor what comes in the neighborhood. So for instance, we try to monitor, sometimes unfortunately, we get caught off guard as well. So sometimes the city, in their ways, they come in and we find out as well. And Assemblyman Denowitz, who's on the call, can attest to that with one of the things that we're dealing with right now on Bronx Boulevard. So sometimes that happens. But make no mistake about it, the one thing I can say about our district manager is that, he is aware of what's going on. And I try to stay up on top of what's going on as well. So, because we don't like to be surprised as well. But unfortunately, as I said, what we want to do is try to keep everything within context as far as buildings are concerned. And so, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. What I invite you to do is stay on because we're going to be having a zoning discussion a little bit later as far as to what, and I also invite you to maybe come out to a session that we're going to be having a little bit later on as it pertains to what people can do what. But unfortunately, right now, because of the quote unquote housing shortage, is that you have people buying up properties, and if they want to put high rises there, and if it's within zoning permits, we can't stop them from doing that. And that is unfortunate, but that is, that's right now it's the law.
Okay.
And yeah, so I went to 739 East to 20th Street on Google Earth, and I went onto it on the buildings department website. So if you look at the building, it's a white building according to Google Earth that has all the windows boarded up. It not necessarily an eyesore if you don't consider not having windows an eyesore, but it's a abandoned building basically. So if you go to the filing, this is the job description, which is number 11 on the filing. It's a general renovation of existing two-family frame building as shown on the plans. Reinforcement of the building filed under separate application, no change in use, egress, or occupancy. Now, what the caller concerned and what you're talking about, Michael, are completely separate issues, and they have to deal with privacy and notification, and not the privacy of your homeowner or me as a private homeowner, but the people who occupy these places. Homeless shelters, once they're occupied, they don't tell you where they're located. Prior to occupancy, they can tell you where they're located because nobody's there. You're not violating any sort of privacy laws. We have gone at loggerheads with the state on this. These are state laws that restrict the city agencies from notifying, and even state agencies from telling. Now, we have elected officials on this phone call. They can address that issue, but they're not going to be able to because we've been down that road, and because of privacy laws, domestic violence, and all this other stuff, you cannot disclose anything. So if it turns into a group home, we will get notification, and then the state gives us 30 days to respond and offer a different location. But what this house is being done, and we won't know until they start making plans. And as a matter of fact, as a community board, we just had something at our last community board meeting with a group home that was going into, I forget where the address was, and we voted to support it. So we can't both say we don't want something, and at our last meeting, we voted for something for a group home. I forget again what the issue was, but we voted for it, we were in favor of it, and it's not the first time that we've been in favor of group homes within our district. So again, I don't want to conflate the issues because I think that people have a bad habit of doing that, of speaking to one thing and then trying to make it all the same. It is not the same. This is a private owner. They built it. If they lease it out to a group home in the future, we will cross that bridge when we get there. But right now, there is no notification other than the 30-day prior notification if it's going to become a group home. And we are spot on with those things because they do notify us. We let the community know. We have a committee meeting. We did so last month. We voted in favor of it. Carl can speak to, I forget what the address was. I'll look for it in the email. But I don't want to confuse people. We are in the public sphere, and we should not be sending mixed messages to our people.
All right. Next.
Thank you. I got you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair. So I stand corrected. And so I appreciate the clarification.
Okay.
So I appreciate it. Madam First Vice Chair.
All right. Ms. Pamela Johnson, you wanted to speak?
Hi, everyone. I'm Pamela Johnson, President of 47 Precinct Community Council. And I just want to say thank you to Mr. Castro and to Renee, because that's how you're supposed to come to a 47 Community Council meeting. You're supposed to come with your concerns, and they were very passionate, and we have to hold NYPD to their feet to the fire. So if a car has been sitting on your block for a year, that's unacceptable. There are men hanging around on your corner and no one is going around there, that's unacceptable. There's some times that we have meetings and no one has a complaint. That shouldn't be. We should be complaining all day, every day. So the next meeting for the 47 Precinct Community Council is on May 12th. If you don't have the link or you're not on our list, you can always email me at 47pcc president@gmail.com. And I just also wanted to, I'm gonna switch hats for a moment. Eastchester Heights is having a pop-up COVID testing site on the 28th, and they're giving away free food from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and that's at the Eastchester Heights Community Center. And the last thing, I'm gonna change hats again because I also work with the DOE. District 11 is having their candidates forum. So those who are running for that seat, it is April 26th. And there are two sessions, April 29th. If you want to get a link to see who is going to represent you in District 11, just email us at elections, elections 2021 at schools.nyc.gov. And that is just the conclusion of it. I hope to see you at the 4-7 meeting. We are also, this year's elections. And so you should be getting an email those who have attended 4 meetings, you're able to nominate, you're able to vote, and you're able to be a candidate. As of course, every year anyone can nominate themselves. No matter who sits in the seat, there are open seats for you to run. And that's going to be on May 12th. So I just encourage you to be on the board and to run for a seat. Thank you.
Okay. So is there anyone else for the public gallery? Right now, I don't see any hands raised. Okay. Mr. Lanzano?
My name
Yes.
is.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I just wanted to say that was 814 Chestnut Street, that address. What I wanted to comment on is what George said, that when somebody proposes to move into the neighborhood with a group home, if we vote them down, it's our responsibility to find them another location. That's ridiculous. It should not be in the law. If we vote them down, it should be their responsibility to find another location. Why should we have to?
Okay.
That's it for now.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'd like to. Can you hear me?
Who's speaking?
My name is Luke Zabados.
Okay. Yes. Luke Zabados.
Hi, thanks so much. I just wanted to say thank you to Chair John Isaac and the rest of the Transportation Committee for your questions and the safety plan for White Plains Road. I ride a bike sometimes down the road, and it's kind of scary because of all the columns and it's dark and stuff. So I'm glad that I can start using that road again and patroning businesses along that stretch. I live right off of Bronxwood Avenue. But yeah, thanks so much, and excited to be here at these meetings and get involved.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Yes, Mr. Hall.
Yes, I just kind of feel bad because I think we're leaving Miss King and Miss Boston out of the loop somewhat. And what I'd like to do, all right, because I understand the complexities. Carl Lanzano hit it on the head. I understand what George Torres was talking about. We need to find an avenue so that all of the constituents, like Miss Boston and Miss King, understand all of the complexities involved in what we're talking about. And I just don't like leaving them hanging like that. And as a housing chair, I mean, I'm going to try to come up with some type of action plan so that you can be further educated on this process, so you understand the complexities involved. It's just not a walk in the park. That's all. I mean, I can see the question marks on their forehead, and I want to do something in their best interest. Okay, so I just want them to know that I see what you're thinking. We need to come up with a better remedy so that you can understand the nuances. And at the same time, as Carl Lanzano said, we need to lobby. So I'm going to stick with you, okay? I just wanted to let you know. Thank you, Madam First Vice Chair.
Okay, sure. Thank you. All right. So if there is anybody else, is that you waving your hands, Mr. Figueroa? No. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I think we're now going to close the public gallery and move on to the next item on the agenda. And I thank you all for your participation. All the things that you have said will be taken into account and will be directed to the proper persons that could handle the situations that you spoke about. Okay? So I thank you for your time, and now turn it over to Mr. Burke, Dr. Burke, to continue with the agenda. Thank you.
So thank you, Madam First Vice Chair. Really appreciate that, and I appreciate you. So what we're going to do now, so we're going to close the public gallery, and we're going to go into the elected officials portion of our meeting. And what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to mute some mics because it is pretty evident that we still have people that aren't doing as such. So what I'm going to do now is ask first of all for our congressman. So I understand Congressman Jamal Bowman is, or someone from his office is in. So Congressman Bowman, if you are there, please unmute yourself so that we can hear from you. Okay.
Hey, this is Nicholas. I apologize. Is it okay if you guys can give me if you can circle back to me? I'm trying to get the congressman, trying to find the
Okay,
update.
so tell you what, so let's go through the rest of the elected officials and then I'll come back to the congressman. How was that?
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so is Mr. Antonetti here from Councilman Rowley's office? Actually, before we begin, before I do that, let me actually welcome our new councilman. So Councilman Denowitz, so I see you there, I see you smiling. So right now, I believe you can unmute yourself if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I allowed you to unmute yourself. So first of all, congratulations on your win and welcome as now Councilman Denowitz to Community Board 12.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor. Yes, it's I've been to a number of the meetings before as your Democratic district leader, but this is my first meeting as your city council member. And I first want to thank everyone here. You know, the areas of Woodlawn and Wakefield came out very strong in the election for me. So I thank you very much for that. You know, one of the things I said during the campaign was making sure that your voices are heard, making sure your needs are met. And so already when Dr. Brooks said new member, I was sworn in a week ago. So it is very new. And while I'm in the process of reopening my physical office, we have to submit this safety plan. We've been taking calls remotely, and we've already helped people sign up for vaccines. We've organized, we were starting to participate and organize food distribution, and we've already voted on legislation banning pesticides from our local playgrounds and our parks, and ensuring that children in school have food and and your families have information about the food that's available to them. And that was legislation we just passed today. So I've already gotten to work in the short week that I've been at the council. Already gotten to work. But I want to make sure that you know that I am here. My office is open. We are starting to hire staff, but we are here to help. I'm going to put the number for my office in the chat. I'm going to put the email for my office in the chat, and I want you all to feel free to reach out right away. And as soon as we are open, I'll make sure the board knows that you can stop by the office. But I thank you all for your support, and I thank you all for obviously coming to the meeting tonight, and in ensuring that your voices are heard in the community.
Well, thanks. So thank you, Councilman Denowitz. And as I said before, anything that we can do to assist, just let us know. As I said before, I look forward to working with you, as I'm sure does the district manager. I can speak on behalf of both of us. And so we look forward to working with you. And anything that we can do to make your transition smooth, just give us a call and let us know. Okay.
Thank you. We'll be reaching out in the coming days.
Not a problem. Well, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. You got it. You got it. Have a good evening. So, Councilman Raleigh, is Mr. Antonetti here from Councilman Raleigh's office? If so, if you could please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Happy Earth Day. Once again, my name is Jermaine Antonetti. I'm the Community Relations Liaison for Councilmember Kevin Riley. We are in full swing of office hours, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. On Tuesdays and Thursdays for right now. Until May 1st, we will be out of the office until May 1st. So May 1st, we'll be going back into the office every single day. Tomorrow is our last PPE, Winter Series PPE giveaway, and that will be held on the corner of Boston Road and Edson Avenue from 2 to 4 p.m. tomorrow. So tomorrow will be our last. It'll be our last, but not our is last, but not our least. PPE giveaway in the district.
We can't hear you.
You're muted, Dr. Burke.
You too. So you have a PPE giveaway on Gun Hill Road and where?
It was on Boston Road and Edison, he said.
Boston. Okay, I thought I heard Gun Hill somewhere. Okay. So all right, thank you, John. So it's one of those nights tonight. Okay, so Assemblyman Denowitz, I see you. So how are you doing? We're glad to see you this month. So welcome.
I am very happy to be here. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words. I'm really excited because we passed a couple of weeks ago, we passed the state budget. And I got to tell you, it was the best budget we've passed as long as I've been around. I'm not going to read you the whole budget. It was several thousand pages, but I wanted to go through a few highlights. So please don't get bored because there's really a lot of good stuff in here that's very important. So I'm just going to go down a list. So forgive me for looking at my notes, but I don't want to miss anything. First, what we did is we had a huge influx of money, or we're projecting a huge influx of money because number one, the federal government, thanks to President Biden, Senator Schumer, and the legislation that was passed, a large amount of money is coming to New York for COVID relief. And that's going to enable us to deal with many of the problems and many of the budget problems that developed in the past year. But in addition, what we did is we raised taxes. We raised taxes. But don't get nervous. I don't believe any of us are going to be among the people whose taxes were raised. We raised taxes on the super wealthy. So people who make over 5 million will be paying a little bit more. People who make over 25 million are going to be paying even a little bit more. So anybody here making over 25 million, raise your hand. Nobody. Okay. The point being that those tax increases on the super wealthy will enable us to do some of the things we need to do. For example, we allocated 800 million in funding for the Small Business Recovery Grant Program, including 25 million for New York Restaurant Resiliency Grant Program, 35 million in tax credits for restaurants, 2.4 billion in the federal aid that we got is going to subsidize child care for eligible families around the state. 50 million for the COVID-19 Recovery Workforce Initiative. 2.1 billion.
We're here in my community more.
I'm sorry. 2.1 billion for the Excluded Worker Fund, which is going to help people who are in desperate shape who weren't eligible for unemployment at the special unemployment last year. Additional money from the past and combined federal and state and homeowner relief for people who are having trouble paying their rent or homeowners who are in danger of possibly losing their homes because they can't keep up with the mortgage because of the COVID crisis. $200 million in capital funding for NYCHA. And in Board 12, there are quite a number of NYCHA buildings, so that's really very important. As well as 200 million for pandemic emergency assistance that'll help a whole array of people, including domestic violence survivors, food assistance for older adults, and a number of other groups. I'm getting through this, so I don't get. We've also allocated $19 billion in foundation aid. That's for our schools. What we did is we dealt with the lawsuit that was resolved many years ago, the Campaign for Fiscal Equity lawsuit, which mandated that additional money go to schools in the poorer districts. And New York City is one of the poorer districts in terms of finances, in terms of economics. And we're going to get a huge influx of money. It's going to go into our local schools. It's going to be an enormous help. And this is money that we've been fighting for years. We got this done this year, and it's really one of perhaps the most exciting thing we did in the budget because we've been working on this for so many years. We also allocated $18 million in ongoing funding for My Brother's Keeper programs, which is an Obama-era program to help young men of color achieve academic success. $13.7 billion in funding for higher education, including rejecting the proposed tuition increases that the governor had recommended for both the state and city universities. 3.1 additional billion dollars, 3.1 billion additional dollars for the MTA, which is really important. We want to continue to try to upgrade our subways and improve our bus service. Nearly $70 million in local assistance for programs that provide critical human services such as child care, foster care, and many other programs. 194 million for health services, 1.84 billion for the environment, including 500 million for clean water infrastructure and 300 million for the New York State Environmental Protection Fund. So that's just like a nutshell of some of the stuff that we got done. We didn't get everything we wanted in the budget, but I have to say that this year was the biggest success, which interestingly was at a time when we faced the worst economy and the worst crisis we've ever faced. But the combination of increased taxes on the super wealthy and the federal aid enabled us to do this. Education, social services, helping homeowners and renters. So I couldn't be happier. And I know that this is not something you really read about every day, but it really does affect every one of us. I just want to say that my colleagues in the Assembly worked extraordinarily hard and led by Carl Hastie, who's the Speaker of the Assembly and who represents many of you in the 83rd Assembly District. So that's my report. I'll cut it there. There's a million other things I can talk about, but just those were some of the highlights. So I hope that every year could turn out as good as this one did. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And as always, if anybody needs to contact me, our office is always ready to help. We're still mostly by phone and by email, but our office is open and slowly opening more and more. And I'm hoping in the near future we'll be back to normal hours as the COVID rates go down and as more people are vaccinated. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Assemblyman Denowitz. That was pretty informative, so we really appreciate it. I had one question as it pertains to something that you proposed a while back, and that was the tolls to the Henry Hudson Bridge. The MTA has risen the prices on that, and needless to say, most of us are probably disappointed about that. But I know you'd had a proposal in which Bronx residents would not have to pay for that or would have a credit. Can you update us as to what the status of that is?
Yes. Yeah. First of all, it was more than a proposal. It was actually agreed upon by the MTA, and it was supposed to go into effect last June. And what it would have done, and could still do in the future, what it would have done is that anybody in the Bronx who has a car registered in the Bronx and an Easy Pass, if they cross the Henry Hudson Bridge in either direction, they would be charged for the toll on their credit card or on their Easy Pass account, and then it would be immediately rebated. So in essence, you wouldn't be paying the toll for Bronx residents whose cars are registered in the Bronx who have Easy Pass. Then came COVID, and the MTA, like everything else, collapsed. They were billions and billions of dollars behind. So a lot of programs like that were, I guess, put on hold indefinitely. And when I say a lot of programs, this program was going to be paid for. When I fought to get this, there had to be money for it because it cost several $1 million a year. And the argument I made was, the Henry Hudson Bridge is a very short bridge, and most of the people who use it are actually from Westchester or Connecticut. But why do Bronx people have to pay that toll? And it's not just one neighborhood in the Bronx. A lot of people come across the Bronx and then go down Henry Hudson Parkway over the bridge. So I was able to successfully get them to agree to pay for this through what's called the Outer Borough Fund. It's money that was that came into the MTA coffers through a surcharge by basically by cabs and by Ubers and the like. And of course, no money has been coming into that fund for a long time now, because certainly for much of the COVID crisis, nobody was taking those cabs in Manhattan. And so the money wasn't generating revenues. And there were other things too that the MTA agreed to do around the city. So a bunch of these programs were put on, I'll say, indefinite hold. But it's my intention to make sure that as they get back on their feet, that this comes into effect. I don't think it's necessarily happening tomorrow, but I'm not letting up on that. It was a huge victory when I got that done. And I don't like to have my, I don't like to have victories snatched away from us. So I intend to make it happen, but COVID-19 will have caused a significant delay in it.
Well, again, Assemblyman, like I said, I've worked with you on several projects, and so I look forward to the day when we do get those rebates back. So again, thank you for your hard work with that. And as I said before, I look forward to continuing to work with you. So again, thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Next is Mr. Wimp here from
Burke,
Speaker
Mr.
Hasty.
Lanzano, we got a question from Colin.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yes, John.
We had a question from Paul Lanzano. He was raising his hand. I was just trying to let you know.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Lanzano. You gotta mute yourself, Mr. Lanzano. There you go.
Oh, okay. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I don't mean to sound cynical, but with all those billions coming to New York, what percentage of it is going to help get rid of those people that are destroying Mr. DeCastro's neighborhood?
Well, first of all, Carl, you do sound a little cynical, but I get what you're saying, though. The funding that I mentioned is for the purposes that I mentioned. And what Mr. DeCastro brings up is a problem which is unfortunate, which is not unique. We have issues like this all over the place, and I think the city has to deal with some of that.
That's a state issue.
Defunding
the police.
Talking about the rule regarding finding another location.
Okay. So, Mr. Lanzano, you have to let Mr. Assemblyman Dinowitz answer the question, please.
I apologize.
Well, first of all, that's not a funding issue, Carl.
No, that's right.
I'm not sure if that provision is part of what's known as the Paterson law or if it's a separate provision, but getting that kind of change is certainly not something which would be very easy. But I agree with you. If one location is bad, it would seem to me that those who are advocating and making the proposal, the onus ought to be on them to find a location, not on you to find a different location. It makes no sense. But I'm going to look into that. But I got to tell you, I'm sure this is not the first time over many years that issue has come up in one part of the city or another. That's why I say it's a problem that is not unique here. In my assembly district, we have a lot of group homes, and to be perfectly honest, most of them are not a problem. Sometimes there is a problem. I mean, this board has voted on numerous occasions in favor of it, of one home or another, because most of the time there's no reason not to vote for it. But sometimes there may be, and so I agree with you, but I can't give you an easy answer right now.
Okay.
Dr. Burke, you're on mute.
Thank you. This is where I mute myself, right? So thank you, Madam First Vice Chair. Congressman Bowman, welcome to Community Board 12. We're glad to have you here.
Hello, sir. How you doing?
We're doing fantastic. And yourself?
Doing well. Just got back from DC.
Not a problem. We're glad to have you. And I'm sure you have some good news for us here.
Yeah,
Well, the fact that you're alive and that you're here is good news. That's the first thing,
Well, yeah. First and foremost, alive, which is a good thing. January 6th was pretty crazy on many levels, but we got through that. We got through second impeachment. We got Trump out, but There's a lot of bad actors still in Washington, still in play, still mobilizing grassroots in their communities to continue what the Republicans are trying to continue, which is they do not want a multiracial democracy. They do not want to invest in the working class. They do not want a progressive tax code. There's a lot of things they don't want, and they continue to push a racist narrative and racist animus that is scary and disgusting. I mean, look, January 5th, we won Georgia. For the first time in Georgia's history, Georgia sent a black and Jewish senator, Democrats, to the Senate. First time in history. And Biden won Georgia as well. And as we know, whenever there's social progress, there's always, white backlash specifically. And that's what happened on January 6th. But we got through that. And now Congress, along with the House, the Senate, and the White House, we've been working together to push a bold progressive agenda. So, the American Rescue Plan is step one in the three-step process of really bringing resources to where they're needed the most. The rescue plan was to rescue us from COVID. So huge amounts of money coming to the state, huge coming to the city, huge coming to the counties, but also our school system is receiving about over $5 billion in the New York City Department of Education. So, and the best part about it is it's equitably distributed. So there are parts of the district where I represent where that are wealthy parts of the district that really don't need the additional funding in comparison to a Mount Vernon or a Yonkers. So Bronxville, for example, is only receiving about $300,000 from the federal government, whereas Yonkers is receiving about $68 million, and Mount Vernon is receiving about $40 million. So it's equitable. As you know, wealthy communities continue to be funded at a higher level when it comes to our schools. So the rescue plan is big for education, is big for cities and states, is big for raising the child tax credit, raising the earned income tax credit. We lifting 50% of children out of poverty with that. Provides rental assistance. It's a tremendous piece of legislation. So that's the first piece. The second piece is the American Jobs Plan, with a huge investment in infrastructure, which are 60% of which jobs that will be made available will not require a college degree, which is big. A lot of focus on apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs there, which is huge. $400 billion towards home care for our seniors. $2 trillion package overall. So that's something to celebrate. Now, it's going to be a lot of fighting because we, the progressives, we want to go a bit bigger with the infrastructure plan. So, between now and, when the legislation is passed, probably in the summer, there'll be a lot of back and forth and a lot of, wrestling with that. So those things are going well. And for myself, I've introduced 2 bills and 1 resolution in our first 100 days, which we're very proud of. We co-sponsored over 150 pieces of legislation. We worked collaboratively and grinded with local elected officials to bring 4 COVID vaccination sites to the district. And we just continue to listen, man. We just continue to plug in, listen and learn from the people, and then take legislation back to Washington in alignment to what we hear from the people. So, so far, so good. And if you didn't know, I was elected vice chair of the Ed and Labor Committee, which is a big honor, coming from, 20 years in education as a teacher, counselor, and middle school principal. That was huge. And I'm also chair of the Energy Subcommittee on the Committee of Science and Technology, really trying to, because listen, we need to end our dependency on fossil fuels right now, immediately. If we don't do it within the next 10 years, this climate change issue is going to be a real problem. We're going to see a lot more Hurricane Katrinas and Sandys and other things if we don't deal with it. So we need to end our dependency on fossil fuels, move towards clean, renewable energy. And what that means is, not just wind, solar, and geothermal, but also battery storage, also energy transport, and also even the cement we use is very carbon intensive. So we need to discover new sciences to get us to a place of true net zero carbon energy. So yeah, so it's been good, man. And it's great to be here. I know my staffer Nick Vasquez is on the call, and looking forward to continue to work with you all.
Well, thank you, Congressman Bowen. As you know, what you just said, the last couple of words of what you just said is music to my ears. So I don't know if you know this, but like I said, I have a PhD in polymer science from the University of Akron, and part of my
And
dissertation.
what science? I'm sorry.
Polymer. So polymers is actually part of the materials that's used to go into batteries and storage, and it's actually used to go into exactly. It's also
Let's
used
get
to
to
go into
work.
fuel.
What
So I
are
don't
we
know if you can look
doing?
in the
Let's get
back,
to work.
in the back right here, but you can see all of the books that I have here, which is talking about chemistry and some of the things that I worked with. Ursula has seen it. I'm sure you've talked with Ursula Green, so she's seen some of my work. But I'm not here to talk about me. I was about to ask you a question on the community. And so something that you just said that just caught my attention. So with the impetus to go away from fossil fuels, what tax credits would be available to people who then purchase fuel cell vehicles, in particular here in the Bronx, fuel cell vehicles and vehicles that are carbon neutral?
So tax credits, to my knowledge, haven't been discussed as part of the new infrastructure bill. So we're moving towards electric vehicles. Tax credits weren't, I didn't see that as being a part of it as of yet. I'm sure it will come up, but it's not part of the conversation. But what's going to happen with this huge federal investment is you're going to see the price of electric vehicles go way down, and you're going to see infrastructure built to power up electric vehicles. So think of, gas station being replaced by charging stations. Like that's what's going to happen across the country. So because the federal investment is going to happen, prices are going to go way down, and electric vehicles will be more accessible to people who are currently driving gas-based vehicles. But I didn't see much conversation, haven't seen much conversation yet on the tax credit piece.
Okay, thank you, Congressman Bowman. What I would like to do is open it up to a couple of questions from members of the community. And so, in particular, members of the community board, I should say, Congressman. So first of all, welcome to your first meeting, but I'm sure it's not going to be your last. And so what I would like to do, I see Dr. Goff had her hand raised. I see Mr. Hall has his hand raised. And so this is mainly for board members. I see Professor Banks has her hand raised. What I would like for you to do, Professor Banks, is put your question in the chat, because as Congressman Bowman says, Nicholas Vasquez, who is his assistant, is here and will definitely be able to answer community questions. But this is for board members. So Dr. Goff, I see you had your hand up first. So if you could
But before we go to Dr. Goff's question, Mr. Burke, I don't know exactly. I don't know if you have your own business when it comes to battery storage, renewable energy, or any of that, but it's something you might want to begin to get to work on, because there's a lot of investment coming in this area. I mean, in the trillions of dollar range. So something you might want to consider, brother, if you're not already doing it.
Well, you know what, Congressman Bowman, you and I definitely need to talk offline, because that's actually part of my company. In fact, my PhD dissertation was on battery storage and light emitting diodes. And so that's exactly what part of my company is doing now. We were actually working on some stuff for fuel cells in order to replace Nafion. And so Nafion is a material that's used now, but we're looking for Nafion replacements. And so that's something. So let's make certain that you and I
talk offline.
Yeah, personal information. I'll send it to you in the chat, and then hopefully you and I can connect on a personal level.
Of course. Thank you, sir.
Not a problem. You got it, sir. Dr. Goff?
Hi, how are you? Welcome, Congressman Bowman. We are not no strangers to each other when it comes down to education. My question posed to you tonight is, the children in District 11 and all over New York City is getting ready to take the state exam, and a lot of students are going to be whether they're going to be taking it or whether they are not going to be taking it. What is your take on it in terms of with the virus and with children and parents discussing whether or whether not?
Yeah, I disagreed with the decision to administer the state test this year. Myself and many of my colleagues sent a letter to President Biden and Secretary Cardona, advising them not to administer the test this year. Our kids have been through so many interruptions to their learning and so much emotional trauma related to COVID. This is the worst time in the world for us to be testing them. So if a parent wants to choose, parents have a right to refuse to take the state exam. If they choose to not allow their children to take the state exam, it's their right, it's their choice, and I fully support that. It's so funny. We forget that, teachers give tests too in the classroom. And teachers have grades for kids, and they give quizzes and midterms all the time. So the teachers can inform us how well a child is doing or not and what the needs are. It doesn't have to come from the state. And one of the conversations that I've been having with Betty Rosa, Misha Ross Porter, and others is, now that we have this money coming in for education, this is a chance for us to reimagine what we're doing in our schools and do things differently. We need to bring in more Black history in our schools. We need to bring in more Jewish history in our schools. We need to bring in more Latino history in our schools. We need more science. We need more arts. We need more CTE so kids can learn with their hands and they can learn all the stuff that you've learned, Mr. Burke, in high school and middle school. Because it's a new economy. This is not the industrial revolution where our kids are going to get a job on the assembly line somewhere and we just prepare them for that. Our kids have to be creative, they have to be collaborative, and they have to be problem solvers because this is an unpredictable world. And they have to be civically engaged to make sure we don't get another Donald Trump as president in our lifetimes or in 100 years. So, I hope that our schools go in a different direction. And as the vice chair of the Ed and Labor Committee in Congress, I'm talking with the commissioner and the chancellor to hopefully help them move in a different direction. Thank you, Johnny.
Congressman Bowman, this is Robert Hall from the Housing Committee.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Okay, I want to thank you for coming into Gun Hill and our little brief interlude there as far as we got. What is your take? What is your take on public housing and what funding is coming in the pipeline, not only for public housing, but for affordable housing right here in the Bronx? Could you help us out?
Yeah, so we need to sustain and expand our public housing stock. Public housing has been neglected for 30 years by the federal government and hasn't received a dime in over 10 years. So it's time to reinvest in our public housing stock, and it's time for us to implement a Green New Deal for public housing. So get rid of the asbestos, get rid of the lead paint, get rid of the dependency on fossil fuels, retrofit buildings to be clean, renewable energy storage facilities, and give public housing the money it needs. Now, right now, the president is proposing $30 billion for public housing, for affordable housing. That's not even enough for NYCHA alone. So, I know Senator Schumer and Richie Torres introduced upping that number to $80 billion, which is a lot better. My work with Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is looking to bring in about $160 billion to public housing and $1 trillion over 10 years to make sure housing remains public and a commodity and not becomes privatized. See, the problem with many aspects of our economy is we privatize everything and allow those who already got billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to take more wealth from the community. There's certain things that are just public goods. Housing should be a public good. Education should be a public good. Water should be a public good. Healthcare should be a public good. But everything is driven by profit. And when things are driven by profit, those who are most vulnerable suffer. So we have to maintain and grow the public housing stock and make it better in the same way they've done in countries throughout Europe and other parts of the world.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to you. I hope you're going to be on my call Sunday, but I'll talk to Ashley with regards to that. But thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll be around. I'm in the district now for another. I'm back. I was in DC for a couple of weeks. I'm back for another couple of weeks. So I'll be around.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question from, I see three more, and we're going to close. I see a question from Anthony Reed. So, Anthony.
What's going on, my brother? How you doing,
Hello, sir. How's everything?
I got my glasses on. I might look like a little 10 years older, but you know I'm still here. Hey, congratulations, man. And you know, I'm following you. I'm getting your emails and everything. I'm clicking on with you. And I just wanted to share this with you as I shared with the councilman and assemblyman. I think that we need to have Spanish as a second language because, you know, we're going to be locked out because they got English as a second language. And most of these jobs is bilingual, you know, so I don't want to be locked out up here in the district because or anywhere else, like, you know, so could we start getting some of those like popping up?
So absolutely, Mr. Reed, and what you say is so important, particularly in this moment. So we have a lot of money coming into our public schools right now, a lot of money. So it's really important for you to engage your school principal and your school superintendent and ask them to bring in more foreign language into our schools. Now, here's the key piece. We often wait till high school for foreign language. We can't do that anymore. If I had a magic wand, I would implement foreign language in every Head Start program. Because when the child is young, like babies, their brain is much more sensitive to learning foreign languages. If a baby had asked foreign language, let's say they had Spanish and Korean, that baby, by the time they're 5 years old, would be trilingual. They would know 3 languages.
Yes.
So we're growing the mayor's 3K program. They're adding, I think, 30,000 seats. We need to put pressure on them so they can add foreign language to that program. Because then our kids will be entering school already knowing the language. So that needs to happen in elementary, even more so than high school. It needs to happen K to 12. But if we're going to do it, and if resources are our problem, we need to do it at the elementary and pre-K level. But I'm going to bring that issue to the superintendent and the chancellor, but you have to too, because it needs to be grassroots. You understand? Like if you, let's say you and everybody on this call the let's say the superintendent get 10 calls about foreign language in our schools. Now she's going to pay attention to it. If she get one call from me, she's like, oh, Jamal is, you know, Jamal always got these crazy ideas. You know, I don't got to listen to Jamal. He's just doing that on his own. But if she gets it from the people in the community, she got to respond because now she knows the community wants it. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much.
So I'm definitely going to do my part. And if you need to get in touch, if you need to know how to get in touch with the superintendent, you should be able to Google it. But if you still can't find it, just reach out to my office and I'll help you.
All right, thank you so much, man. You're doing a great job. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Okay.
Congressman Bowman, I have a couple more questions. I see Mr. Boris had his hand up, and so I'm going to recognize him, and then I'm going to recognize Beatrice Cornell. Mr. Boris?
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Jamal, Mr. Bowman.
Yes.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, and this also goes out for to Mr. Denowitz. I just wanted to know if there's anything being done about the Title IV Act. It's detrimental to our community, and I know that a lot of us aren't familiar with the Title IV Act, which enforces child support. The reason why I feel that it's detrimental to our community, especially our families of color, is that the Title IV Act, what it does, if you're not familiar, is that it matches all of child support funding to go to other to give federal funding. So what ends up inevitably happening in our court system in our communities is that there's an incentive to enforce child support, and we want to create a different climate for our families in this day and age, with especially our families of color. You know, we don't want deadbeat parents anymore. What we want to do is we want to be a part of. And the Title IV Act basically it doesn't enable for that to happen. So I just want to bring attention on this platform to that, and it's something that can be, it should be addressed and is being clearly overlooked.
Mhm. I don't know. I think that's a state policy. I'm not familiar with that at the federal level.
Yeah. So
I think it's a state policy.
the funding is actually matched. So what inevitably what ends up happening is many parents, and I don't want to use fathers in particular because it's also mothers. They're actually put on child support as an incentive to get federal funding, and it goes to show you that where a lot of our funding is coming from.
Yeah, I need to look into that to see what the federal aspect of it is. I'm not familiar with it. I think the original act is a state level act, but I need to do some research on it. So let me do some research and get back to you. I'm not familiar with it.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Nicholas, you got that, right?
Let me just make sure. HR 4, sir. Am I correct?
The Title IV Act.
Title IV Act.
Enforcement of child support. We'll look that up and we'll get a handle on it. Thank you.
I got you.
So ultimately, again, I just want to say that it breaks up our families, especially our families of color.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congressman Bowman, thank you for being here with us. We're super excited to have you here. My name is Mitch, and I am the chair of our ad hoc not-for-profit committee. And this goes actually to all the other elected officials and their staffers who are here as well. You mentioned a few things, the for-profit systems, which, as you know, typically ends up creating a lot of disparities for our community. We're an example of that. And I love that you mentioned the collective power. And as our board, we really are fighting hard to enhance the quality of life for all of our residents. And as the chair of the ad hoc not-for-profit and my other committee members that are here, we're looking to, one of the ideas that we want to do to start a nonprofit is start an education center. And I know that you're big on education, but not just for the youth, also for our adults and our elders, and get licensings and vocational kind of like trainings. And so we're looking for support. What we're doing right now is actually serving the community, and we're trying to connect with all of the elected officials so that they can help us collect completed surveys from the masses. So I already sent a chat to Nicholas, so I just wanted you to be aware of that this community board is really working hard to supplement. We lot a loss of funding, this community board, our district manager can talk about that. And so we're looking to get supplemental income and develop this nonprofit organization. An education center would be great. You're big on that, so we're hoping you can support our efforts.
Of course. When are you looking to start again or open back up?
So we're already circulating the survey. That's one of our biggest mission right now. We're giving ourselves 6 weeks. So we're looking for local elected officials to help us circulate, do email blasts for us, and just get the word out and help us promote this and build awareness.
What physical space are you going to be using?
We're in the middle of planning all that. Right now, we're in the research and planning, serving the community, but I know there's a local YMCA here. Maybe they could lend a space.
Where's there a YMCA?
There's one opening up right here, I believe is in.
Is that close to opening now? The one by Baychester?
Yes. 1250 East 229th Street. That's where I'm working at, Mr. Bowman. Come and visit me.
So they opened up, the new Y opened up right there by Baychester houses?
No, right in back of Spelman. It didn't open up, but they actually just opened up a vaccine center over there.
Okay.
And I believe
but it's going to be open up. It's going to be opening, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to be there for a couple of more months.
Okay.
Sorry for cutting you off, Beatrice.
It's okay.
We're going to be there for a couple of months, and you need to come by so I can show you a walkthrough, right? I'm at the gate.
Absolutely. I will. Beatrice, what I wanted to say, so when, let's assume that, everyone's vaccinated and in September schools are fully operational. Using a school in the evening and weekends could be an option for this kind of program.
Absolutely.
That's one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say is, I want to reiterate this, there's a lot of money coming into schools and school districts and in the city and the state. So you mentioned losing funding, that money is coming back. So please be in communication. In addition to us as elected officials, you have to be in communication with the school superintendent, the schools, the chancellor's office, and even at the state level. It's very important because the program you're talking about is we need more of that. We need as many programs like that as possible to provide both adult education and whatever other services we want to provide. Stuff that happens outside a traditional school setting, right?
Absolutely.
So that's great. I'm very excited. I'm definitely gonna, help you spread the word on that. Did you share it with? You shared it with the team.
I shared it with the team and I just connected with Nicholas. So
Okay,
I'll email him tomorrow. We'll be on that. Thank you so much.
No, let's do it. That's really exciting. Thank you.
Congressman Bowman,
Barbara
I have
Gibson.
one other thing I'd like to present to you. There's some questions in the chat. One's from Professor Banks. So before we let you go, because we actually need to move forward, but
Can I
there are
ask
some
one question?
questions in the chat that we would love for you to address. She asked the questions about HR 40 and some other legislative issues that are up on Capitol Hill. So if you would please take a look at Professor Banks's questions. And, we invite you to stay on because, as I said, we've got other elected officials that we want to get to as well. But if you feel free to stay on and answer her questions, and if anybody else has a question for
Well, I know
Congressman Bowman.
So Nicholas, we'll grab these questions and I'm not going to be able to respond to all of them now, I don't think, but Nick will grab them and we can follow up. Am I echoing? I think someone needs to mute.
Yeah, I think there is an echo. So I'm about to lock all the mics again because unfortunately board members
Yeah, you
are.
might want to lock the mic.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Someone
lock
needs
the
to
mics
mute.
again. So hang on for a second, Congressman. Let me do that. And then okay,
Yeah,
so Congressman, you're still open, right?
So regarding HR 40, so thank you for that question. So John Conyers had been introducing HR 40 since 1989. HR 40 is the bill that seeks to form a commission to study the potential need for reparations for the African American community. It's been introduced since 1989. It has never been marked up in committee or made it to the floor for a vote. John Conyers passed away, unfortunately, I think a year or two ago. And the bill was picked up by Sheila Jackson Lee, who's probably the hardest working person in Congress. She's a machine. Anyway, through her advocacy and the advocacy of myself and others, and shout out to Jerry Nadler, who's the chair of the Judiciary Committee, he brought HR 40 in for a markup. So it was marked up in committee. Now, just so we know, the process is pretty much like this. Let's say I want to introduce a bill. Anybody can introduce a bill at any time. You introduce a bill and you try to get support for the bill. You get support for the bill is sent to a committee, and then the chair of that committee decides if they want to move forward to have the committee look at the bill and provide amendments to the bill. So Nadler did that. HR 40 has been marked up. They voted on it in committee and it made it out of committee. So this is a huge deal. It hasn't happened in 32 years since it's been introduced. Now it's going to be brought to the floor for a vote. So if y'all got friends, family, cousins, whomever at different parts of the country, make sure they call their congressperson to support HR 40. So when it comes to the floor for a vote, we can hopefully get it passed in the House, and then we'll see what happens in the Senate. But a lot of very exciting movements with HR 40. There's this, matter of fact, historic movement. It's never moved like this before at any time in history.
So, Congressman Bowen, first of all, I would like to thank you. Unfortunately, board members, we can't answer all of the questions because we have so much more to get to. But I see Mrs. Bond and I see Mrs. Moore, as well as others. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. The congressman has agreed to stick around, as well as Nicholas has stuck around as well. Stick around as well to answer your questions in the chat. But Congressman Bowman, I'll put my personal information to you in the chat as well, but I will also make sure to get it to your chief of staff, Nicholas Vasquez. And so with that being said, thank you so much for coming in. I'm glad to have met you virtually. I look forward to the day when I can meet you in person. On behalf of the Constituents and Community Board 12, again, thank you for the work that you do. Congratulations on your win, and we look forward to hearing from you again in a not too distant future.
Of course, listen, and do not be shy, okay? I want you to call me all the time, harass me, ask me for everything. Do not be shy. If y'all are shy and I don't do something, I'm gonna blame it on y'all, not me. So y'all better tell me what's going on. Don't be shy and stay connected, okay?
Well, not a problem, Congressman. It's all about accountability, and so
That's
you
right.
preach that, as do I. So, again, we do appreciate you,
Thank
and
you.
we will do just that. I'll let our fingers do the walking.
That's
And,
right. That's right.
Exactly.
Peace and love, y'all.
No
Nicholas will
problem. Take
stay
care,
on.
Congressman. Not
Okay.
a problem. All right. Thank you. Board members and community, that was absolutely fantastic to hear from our congressman. Hopefully you got a lot out of that like I did. And hopefully you found that very, very rewarding. I see everybody smiling, so that's a good thing. So again, thank you, Congressman Bowman, and we look forward to working with you. Next, of course, is Speaker Hasty's office. So I don't know if Mr. Went is on from Speaker Hasty's office. If so, please raise your hand. If anybody's on from Speaker Hasty's office. Yes, no. Okay, let me, no. Okay. Is anybody on from Speaker Hasty's office? Okay. Senator Biaggi, I know I saw somebody here from Senator Biaggi's office, and I want to say I saw Angela here. So Angela, welcome. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Dr. Burke. That is a tough act to follow after Congressman Bowman just, you know, spoke a lot of truth, and it was great to hear from him, even for me, who works in another elected official's office. I will be brief. I know that Assemblyman Dinowitz explained the budget in some detail. Senator Biaggi is really excited about the budget that was passed. There's a lot of funding coming our way for a lot of important things, and it's a lot of good news. I am not going to go through the details, but I did want to offer to anyone who is curious about a breakdown of the funding. Our office typed up a breakdown with some more details, so I'd be happy if anyone wants to leave me a message with their email address. I can send that over to them. And yeah, a lot of good news, which is much needed after a very rough year with the pandemic. And on that note, with regard to vaccines, we are still making appointments for people to get their vaccines. If anyone hasn't and they're interested, I left an interest form in the chat. I myself am the person going through that, and I'm sitting at the computer and the phone making the appointments. So I can promise you that I will get you one if you need one. You can just fill out that form. I did also want to speak to General Constituent Services. I'm a member of the Senator's Constituent Services team, so we are doing all of our usual services that we provide. Most of it is remote at this point, just because not everyone is vaccinated, but hoping that that changes soon this summer. And, please reach out about anything at all. I'm always available by email or by phone. I will leave that in the chat. Two things I did want to mention. Next Thursday, we are having a town hall. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So the senator and a number of other electeds we're holding a town hall with a number of other electeds virtually to sort of create a space to raise awareness, to educate, and to talk about legislation that we're fighting for in Albany to prevent violence and to protect assault survivors. So I'll put an RSVP to that event in the chat. That's Thursday, April 29th. So in a week at 6 p.m. It'll be on Zoom and it'll be on Facebook Live to stream. And I did want to give one last shout out to the Summer Youth Employment Program, which is a really fantastic program that's available for youth in New York. I think it's ages 14 through 21. And it's an application process to apply for paid employment opportunities. So job training, if a kid has interest in a certain field of work that they want to have some experience in, it's a really great program that matches students up with those opportunities, and it's free and it's paid, which is, paid internships are very hard to come by, unfortunately. So it's a really great opportunity for any youth that you know. Please spread the word. I'll put a link to that in the chat as well. I'm sorry, I don't mean to overwhelm with all the links, but that deadline to apply is tomorrow. So there's one last day to do that. And we have a number of interns that work in our office who are part of the program, and it's a really great experience on all ends. So I think that does it for me, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to message me in the chat. And thanks for having me tonight. It's really good to see you all.
Well, you're always welcome, Ms. Conley, and please give Senator Biaggi our best. We love hearing from you, but we love hearing from her when she comes and graces us with her presence. So please give her our best. And as Ms. Conley said, if you have any questions for her or the senator, please address them in the chat, and she will stick around and answer your questions. Okay? Okay. Thank you very, very much. Is anyone here from Senator Bailey's office? Okay, is Ms. Guerrero, anybody here from Senator Bailey's office? Okay. I know that I think I want to say Ms. Diaz is here from DA Clark's office. So Erica, if you could unmute yourself, please, and bring us greetings from the DA.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me once again. I sent my information to Dr. Burke earlier. He posted it in the chat. If anyone has any questions or concerns or anything that our office can be of assistance with, please do not hesitate to reach out. This past Tuesday, there was a press conference regarding the preparations as well as events that were being hosted just as responses to whatever verdict would come about for the George Floyd case. Those events were extremely helpful, especially for the community. There were multiple community organizations that came out and helped different prayer vigils as well as supportive circles for people. Our office is also offering different mental health services for anyone that's having any issues or any difficulties that are dealing with certain matters that have to do regarding with law enforcement, as well as the turmoil that our country is actually going through at the moment. If our office can be of any assistance, once again, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ms. Diaz. We really appreciate you. And as I said, I did put your information in the chat. So it's in the chat. I want to say it's higher up in the chat. So if you, obviously, as you know, the chat is a scrolling function, board members in the community, but I did post Mrs. Diaz's information in the chat for you to contact her on behalf of DA Clark. Okay. Is there anyone here from Comptroller Scott Stringer's office? Okay. Is there anyone here from the mayor's office? Okay. And Manny Lagares, I do not see him in our meeting this evening. He's normally here from city planning. And so with that being said, we can move on to the next item on our agenda, which of course is the Borough President's Report. And every month we are we're just happy to be graced by the presence of Miss Alexis Ruiz, who represents the Borough President's Office. So Alexis, hi.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Burke. Good evening, everyone. I hope that you're all doing well, and I'm happy to hear all of you. That was a lot of great information that was given, so I'm very excited about that. So just a few things. So community board members who have submitted a reappointment application should continue to serve until they receive a letter from the Borough President's Office regarding their reappointment. The terms of community board members who have chosen not to reapply for a new term ended on March 31st. So I hope that answered a few questions. As for new applicants, you will receive a letter in the mail from the Borough President's Office regarding the appointments in the middle of May. So keep an eye out for that. And if you have any additional questions, you can always email me so that we can touch bases on a one-to-one. And then I just want to encourage everyone to get vaccinated. so that we can return students safely to school and reopen businesses and just recover from this pandemic. Thank you all for the time.
Okay. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you for your greetings from the Borough President's office. Next on the agenda is the chairperson's report. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to really go over it because everybody here has a copy of it. The only thing that I'm going to mention is as far as the boards of standard and appeal hearing, and I'm actually going to let our district manager talk about that. But the only thing I want to comment on that is the following. We talk about what the importance of the community board is, and one of our primary tenets is land use. And I want to say that that was a major win for us. And so I think that I know sometimes that we give our people a hard time, and I know that sometimes George gets a hard time, and sometimes deservedly so. As I say, he and I have a love-hate relationship, but I love him mostly, and he's smiling. But as I said, and we argue, but we argue as brothers, and so to that end, I really want to thank George in advance for helping me, and along with helping Mr. Stricker and Attorney Singh with this. This was a major win. The same thing with the pear tree storage. As you now know, that is not going to be a storage area. And that was a major win. And unfortunately, we have some losses. I'm not happy about the B&B project, but unfortunately, we lost that, right? And I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but we have some wins and we have some losses. But this is a major win. And so I'm going to stop at that point, as I said, because I mentioned it in my report. The DM is mentioned in his report, but I asked him to expand upon it in his report. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to District Manager George Suarez.
So I hope everybody had an opportunity to read the report. I just wanted to thank everybody. We have been dealing with this for quite some time. I recall when I became a district manager in 2015, this being one of the many issues. It's sort of my pet peeve. I don't like unfinished sidewalks or unfinished streets. This is the city of New York, and I think we should have passable streets and passable sidewalks. So the idea that we had a company that basically waived their right or that the city waived their right to build a sidewalk. We had to wait 20 years, and that's basically what happened. This was July 7th, the 20-year variance for this one property, 2827 Edson Avenue, which is the retail portion right behind the gas station on Bartow, Edson, and Grace Avenue. They came before the community board. And, the community board plays an advisory role. This is important. We work with agencies, and the one place where we don't play an advisory role, but even it's still kind of advisory, is, like the chairman said, our land use issues. So when this issue came up, we wrote a letter, which the commissioner, we had our hearing last week, Monday, at 2:30 in the afternoon. And, it was a show of strength for us because we had a number of board members there. I want to thank all of them. I saw Fredo was there, Beatrice was there, Harry Singh was there, our chairman was there. He spoke at the meeting. And the commissioners were cognizant of it. They saw us in there. I mean, they made a comment about it because we were actually the last item on the agenda. And they were like, oh, we have all these people in the waiting room. And they were like, no, they're for the Bronx hearing. Because the other hearings that were before us were in other boroughs. And I think that show of strength and the letter that we sent, which was very detailed, I think it was 2 pages long, it spoke to the issues of the constituents who live on that block and who have had to deal with that for the last 20 years of Grace Avenue not being a through street. I mean, we're still contending with Arno Avenue not being a through street from Grace Avenue to Edson Avenue. But at the hearing, like I said, I was so happy it almost brought a tear to my eye because I really didn't have to say anything. As a community board, we didn't have to say anything. The commissioners basically agreed with everything that we put into our letter. And they even went further. If you're familiar with the area on Bartow and Grace Avenue, there is a brand new church that was just built within the last year. It is a beautiful building. They put iron wrought fences out there. They put flower beds, plantings on the sidewalk. It's a very beautiful situation. And the commissioners were able to see that because they Google Earthed it. And they said, oh, well, the opposite side of the street should look very similar to the church side of the street, which is a win-win for the constituents and the homeowners that live on the other side of Grace and Arno Avenue. There's about 13 private homes that front the storage facility there. And we're meeting next month with the storage facility because the retail portion of that mall and the storage facility portion of that mall are two separate lots. So they have two separate vacancies. But again, the commissioners, they hit on all the points. They spoke about a lighting analysis to make sure that there was enough light coming into the private homes. They spoke about not only the flower beds, but mimicking the iron wrought fence. So instead of getting a chain link fence, we're going to get a nice iron wrought fence. They spoke about not seeing a garbage disposal. There is currently one there. If you're familiar with the site, there's a Pizza Hut there. Right across from the Pizza Hut, there's like a chain link fence that looks kind of messed up with a garbage disposal. That's where I guess all the tenants throw their garbage away. The BSA commissioners came back and they said, no, build a concrete structure to hide that structure so that it doesn't look visibly. It's more appealing with a concrete structure. And again, the importance of the lighting situation is because they were going to ask DOT to put in more not traffic lights, street lamps, so that because it's a dark street, or that's what they were trying to tell. So again, it was, for me and for the community board, where we don't have the opportunity to weigh in, I think that this was a major opportunity, and it was eye-opening, and it was sort of a lesson for many of us. This was the first time that I testified before the Board of Standards and Appeals, and it went very well. And not only did it go well for John Isaacs, who is our transportation chair and has brought to me many concerns about BSAs that we've done in the past. We discussed 1225 East 233rd Street, which is the gas station on the corner. And I had said to them, our concern as a community board is that once the variance is granted, there's very little incentive for people to actually follow through on doing what they promise. So we told them, we don't want you to grant this until they actually build the sidewalk. And as of today is April 22nd, they still don't have a filing with the Department of Buildings for a permit for the sidewalk, which is what I'm looking for. But that said, and to my point to John, Commissioner Marjorie Perlmutter is the executive director, or the head. She's not the executive director. She's the head commissioner for the Board of Standards and Appeals. And she told us, she said, listen, if you find that there are people who are bad neighbors, that they're not living to the commitments that they made in the variance, bring them to us and we will send out our inspection unit and we will claw back. Now, I don't know if they can claw back the variance, but they can issue new violations so that they can be in compliance. Because one of the complaints that we received about 233rd was that they were selling vehicles. It's a gas station, not a car dealership. So, like I said, I think it was a very good win for us. It's a minor victory, but it for that community, which is the Valley, right here on Bartow and Grace, it's going to be loads of difference once that sidewalk gets built. So I'm very happy, and I'm very grateful to all of you, because I think in no small part the commissioners were very responsive to us because we showed up in full force. We had several board members there. They were watching. We sent out the letter. which again went back and forth between the chair and myself when we were composing it. We were able to demonstrate strength, and we were able to hold, which is the most important thing, we were able to hold the property owner accountable. They probably thought that they weren't going to have to spend that much money to get their variance done. And lo and behold, they now have to come up with a decorative fencing, so not a chain link fence. They have to plant flower beds. And that's going to be very appealing to the constituents that live and used Grace Avenue to get the bus, because the 28 and the 26 stop right in front of the gas station right there. So it's like I said, to me, it's a minor victory. I mean, I try to downplay everything and minimize our role, but it was important, and I'm very happy. I'm happy for all of us, and I'm happy for the community because, again, we were able to win this. And this was something that they weren't expecting. I mean, if you recall the first land use meeting that we had on this issue to today, they weren't coming here to voluntarily do it. And the fact that we had the backing of the BSA commissioners enforcing them and making sure that they actually follow through on these commitments is a huge thing for us. That's all I have to say. Oh, and I don't know if the chairman's done with his report. We're going to have our meeting with the city on with HPD and city planning. We still have some logistics to work out, but we are shooting for Saturday, May 1st, which is less than 10 days away, 9 days away. Well, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. So that's what we're shooting for. I hope to see all of you there. We will be posting this on our Facebook page, our website, everything. We'll be sending out emails. This is another opportunity for us as a community to learn what the role of city planning and the housing preservation, the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, the roles they play in making communities like ours. So this is a great opportunity to ask housing questions and zoning questions. Those people on 229th Street that have these concerns about that development, this would be an opportunity to say, hey, we have this question, we can ask that question. It can be answered at that forum. So I hope to see all of you there. I don't think I'm not forgetting anything. And if anybody has any questions, I'll certainly hang around and answer them.
So thank you, George. Also, Carla Borsati and Carl Stricker were there as well. I know Beatrice Cornell tried to get in, and so did Keisha Lago Martin. So I think to your point, when we say transformation to greatness, board members and community, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about transformation to greatness because this is not about me. This is not about the district manager. This is about a collective. And collectively, and again, you guys know I'm a huge Star Trek fan. So if you think of us as the Borg, we were the Borg and we went in there, in essence, assimilated. And the BSA helped us to assimilate these developers. I mean, and that's what it is. And again, for those of you Trekkies, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you that aren't, I refer you to Star Trek: The Next Generation. But in any event, that was a major win. So board members, I'd like to congratulate you and again, Ursula, George, everybody, because this was, as I said, it was a major, major, major win. So again, I can't stress that enough. So let's move on to the next item of the agenda where we're going to talk about the approval of the board minutes. And I want to discuss this for just a hot second. We don't have minutes this month, and I know people will be wondering what's happening. And so the person that normally does the minutes right now, there's some things that are happening. And so I'm not going to, I know that she said she's going to fall on the sword, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say that what I would ask is that I'm going to ask Ms. Hayes, and I'm also going to ask Ms. Moore, and I'm going to reach out to you personally to do me a favor when it comes to that. So I'll talk with you about that offline. And so I'm going to move on to the financial report. So I'm happy to report that, I've been graced before every general board meeting to see a member of Community Board 12 in person. So last month, I had the opportunity to see Ms. Joan Claude, who is the chairperson of our Library and Cultural Affairs Committee. She came into the office before the general board meeting. Today, I had the opportunity to see our treasurer and education secretary, Ms. Tolene Dickerson, in person. It was good seeing her and she's doing well. So we're going to talk about briefly what we did today, and I'm going to turn this over to Tolene, and then we're going to get into the next part of our agenda. So Tolene, the floor is yours.
Good evening, family. Just to make sure that you all understand that you're constantly in my prayers. Don't blink right now because this is going to be just that quick. We were able to turn the books over, and I will be sending out an email because this is email sensitive as to our next steps. So just know that we've done everything that we were supposed to do with the help of Ms. Martin and Mr. Asif from our bank. Love you and thank you.
Well, that was quick. One of the things you said it was going to be quick, Tolene, and you really that was quick. One of the things that I want to say that what we're talking about, not only with the Sunshine Fund, but if you remember last month, we talked about getting a Community Board 12 lapel pin for members of the board. And the reason I'm thinking this is twofold. A, because I think it looks nice. But more importantly, B, this is a way of outreach. You know, we meet people all the time that need to reach out to us, and some said they don't know how to reach out to us. And I know that, you know, at one point I know Sydney was working on it for us, and I know that you know I know she's still working on it, but I think with the lapel pin that would say, okay, this is a member of Community Board 12. We can reach out and talk to that person if they see us on the spot. For the ladies, I was also thinking about not a lapel pin, but if you see our United States Congresswomen that have their pin that's on a necklace, something like that. And so obviously that costs money. And so that was one of the reasons that we went to the bank to, you know, look at our books to see what we need and what we would want to ask each community board member to contribute. Now, if you do not want to contribute to this, you don't have to, right? So let me make that perfectly clear. So this is not something that is mandatory. However, I think that it is nice for you know, it's a nice symbol of our volunteer work because, again, none of us get paid to do this, right? We do this because we supposedly love the community that we're in. But more importantly, it's a form of outreach because if a member of the community sees that, then they'll be like, oh, okay, this is somebody that I can talk to about my concerns. And so that was the thought process behind that. And so, again, once we get a little bit more details, you know, we'll follow through on that. The one person that I will say that because I see her on this call and I want to thank her because she actually woke me up is Miss Donna Drayton for waking me up and just realizing that I had resources in my own backyard that I didn't think about. So to that end, so thank you, Mrs. Drayton. I really, really appreciate it. And you know that I love you. And I just want to send that shout out to you because I see that you're on the call. So on that note, we're going to move to the next item on our agenda. And so we have a presentation. So we have a presentation by Mr. Randall Torre, who is from the Riseboro Community Partnership. So Mr. Torre, feel free to unmute yourself and bring us greetings.
Good evening, everyone. And we're going to keep this short also. And I just want to say to you, I'm a DS9 fan myself.
Oh, you know what? I love Captain Cisco. I mean,
I know.
Without question, without question.
And so we're here today. We're from Riseboro Community Partnership. My co-presenter today is David Modesto. And David, I see him popping up. And we're going to do a very brief presentation. David is going to take over, but we just want to let you know that we're here related to the Woodlawn Senior Center. And we're happy to announce that construction is almost complete, and we're about to go and market the units. And David will explain to you the process, and at that point, we will make sure that we supply the community board with all the information. I've been working with George Torres, so we are looking to have individuals work with the local community to apply. If they're unable to apply online from their homes, we'll have it set up so that they can come to either the community board's office or to a location within the Woodlawn Wakefield area. So with that, David, you can take over.
Okay.
the share content button is blanked out. Is there another way I can share my screen?
Mr. Burke, can David share? George can. I think we are. Well, we don't want to hold up the this group. David, can you explain the process?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, until we figure out the share content button, I'll just briefly run through this. I had a presentation to show you guys, but I guess I'll just let you all. I'll give a brief project overview of Woodlawn Senior Living. It's a 80-unit senior affordable housing building. It is located at 69 East 233rd Street. It's 4 stories, designed to passive house standards.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mr. Modesto. Can you share your screen, please? I think you should be able to share your screen.
Yeah, the button was blanked out. Let me see if I can do it.
Okay, yeah, you should be able to share your screen. So try it now.
Okay. Okay, can you all see that?
Yep. Okay, David, we can see it.
Okay. All right, so, thank you all for having us here, and I'll keep it very brief, but the focus of today will just be marketing and letting you guys know that this will be launching pretty soon. You'll be able to apply via Housing Connect on the Housing Connect website, which a lot of you may be familiar with. You'll be able to apply by mail. So as I was saying earlier, this project is located on 233rd Street, right between Napier Avenue and Oneida Avenue. Here's a little picture of what the property looks like. It's a 4-story building, designed to passive house standards. So, the passive house standard, it's, very energy efficient, as a continuous, envelope that's extremely airtight and helps to save tenant on utility bills. There's also an energy recovery ventilator, which improves the indoor air quality. There's also solar panels on the roof to provide a cleaner energy source to the building. So as you can see from here, these are going to be senior apartments for folks aged 62 or older. And it's also a 1 2-bedroom unit for a super. So a total of 80 apartments in this building. 100% of the units will be covered with Section 8 subsidy. So that means that tenants will only have to pay 30% of their income towards rent, and the remainder of the rent will be covered with the Section 8 subsidy. Of these 70 units, we have 59 studios and 21 bedroom units. As I mentioned before, there's that 1 2-bedroom unit for the live-in super. A total of 24 of these units would be set aside for formerly homeless seniors, and there are going to be 55 total units that will be available through the housing lottery. So these 55 units are the ones that I'll be talking about today. So these are the ones that members from the community will be able to apply to. Also, in these 79 units, there are 2 units that have been modified to assist folks who are hearing and visual impaired, and 3 units for mobility impaired folks. Some of the amenities, include 11 parking spaces. There are, 2 elevators, a laundry room. We also have package room for deliveries for tenants. There's also 2 community rooms. So another aspect of this project is a social service component of it. So we will have social services on staff, and all the units or all the tenants will have access to the social services, but specifically these 24 formerly homeless seniors will receive individualized support and case management. There'll be recreational and educational programs for these tenants as well. So currently the building is approximately 95% complete, and we do anticipate that the project will reach 100% completion some point next month in May. So we're working with HPD to launch this housing lottery as soon as possible, which I also expect will launch in the month of May. So some other things for the community to I guess be aware of is that, you know, the building will be looking to hire one super and one porter. So our management team is currently working to finalize those job postings. But once those job postings are available, we will be sharing those with the community board and the district manager so that those members of the community who are interested can apply for those jobs. And the maintenance staff are typically part of the 32BA union. So, you know, since we have the social service component as well, we do expect that there will be a need for social service staff. We don't know the exact positions or openings yet that will be available, but once we have those postings ready, we'll also be sharing that with the community board and district manager for members of the community. So moving on from here, here's just some pictures of the unit interiors. Here specifically is a sample of a studio unit. You know, once the lottery launches on Housing Connect, we'll have, you know, a lot more pictures of the units and a lot more pictures of the common areas as well. Here's that same studio unit. And here's really, I guess, the main topic for tonight is the housing lottery ad. So this is a draft version of the ad. We're working with HPD to, you know, put it in its final form so that we can publish it and distribute it widely throughout the community. So all this information will be up on Housing Connect for folks who are interested and ready to apply. Typically, the ad runs for 60 days on Housing Connect. So this is why we wanted to make you all aware of it so that folks who are interested don't miss the deadline. And as you can see from this ad, we have 41 studio units that will be available to the lottery and 14 one-bedroom units. The rents, again, are set to 30% of the tenant's income. The applicants will need to qualify for Section 8 subsidy. So the rent does include gas for cooking, but tenants will still be responsible for unit electricity. And, you know, as you can see from here, these are the income limits for the studios and the one bedrooms. The studios can house up to two-person household, and the one bedroom up to a three-person household. So we do expect to publish this ad in newspapers. Right now, it looks like we'll be publishing this in AM New York, Bronx Times, and there's a third paper still to be determined. We're working with HPD to determine and get that approved. We'll also be, you know, sharing this ad with the community board, elected officials, and other local organizations throughout Community Board 12. You know, we'll be sending these not just in physical form, but also through email blasts. So if there are any groups, organizations that you think should, you know, definitely receive this, please feel free to let us know. And once again, one thing to know is that, you know, the households must have one household member that is 62 years of age or older in order to qualify for these 55 units. Here's just the second half of the ad. You know, it just contains a little bit more instructions of how to apply. As mentioned before, you can apply online via the Housing Connect website once this goes live, which we expect to go live in May. Another way to apply for folks who wish to do this via paper is to just send a self-addressed envelope to Woodlawn Senior Living, care of 217 Wyckoff, which is our office location in Brooklyn. So we'll make sure that folks get a copy of this slide, or we can share this more publicly to everyone else. And we do encourage folks to just submit one application. You know, folks who submit duplicate applications do risk being disqualified. As mentioned, you know, this typically runs for 60 days. So, you know, the deadline will fall sometime in July. So we do expect folks to kind of keep an eye out if this is of interest to you. And we're since this is a senior housing building, as Randall mentioned, we will be working with the community board and district manager to identify someone who, you know, will be able to help filling out these housing applications for those who need assistance. You know, once the application is submitted, you know, the Housing Connect system generates an electronic log. You know, it randomizes both the online and the paper applications and generates a electronic log by which, you know, the marketing agent goes through each application, evaluates applicants, and sends out notifications for those who qualify requesting documents, and for those who do not qualify will also be notified.
Okay, so Mr. Modesto, I'm going to have to speed you along. So we got about what, one more slide?
This is the last slide.
Okay.
This last slide just showing you, giving you an idea of the type of documents we ask tenants to bring if they're selected, and also some tenants that some documents that tenants receive at lease signing and that we ask that they sign in interviews. Typically, you have 10 days to provide this information once you're notified of your selection. If you do submit an incomplete package, there's an additional 5 days to complete your documentation. So that's more or less the timeline that we're working with. But that really concludes the bulk of what I wanted to cover tonight. Once again, you can apply via the Housing Connect website or by mail. I can definitely share this presentation for the community board to distribute.
Yeah, we'll send it to Mr. Torres and we'll follow up with him. So we'll continue to work with the community board in order to make sure that seniors that are in the Woodlawn Wakefield area have an opportunity to apply if they do not have the ability to apply online. And with that, Mr. Burke, we'd like to thank you very much for your time.
Well, not a problem. You've got one question. I see where Mr. Alfredo Figueroa has a question that he would like to ask you. So, Alfredo?
Absolutely.
Hey, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
First, thank you for this presentation. I just want to give a compliment, if that's okay, Dr. Burke.
Yes, I was muted. Yes,
okay.
You can. Yes.
All right. This building, it's a beautiful building. The design is awesome. You know, I know the contractor that built it. It's a good friend of mine. So he does really good work. I just want to put it out there that this building is coming in completion under the time frame. I think a couple of months before the completion date. This building, since it started going up, they only had 12 complaints. Out of the 12 complaints, none of them resulted in violations, stop work orders, or anything of that nature. These are the type of people we need building in our neighborhood because they know the law, they know how to build, and they know how to take care of the neighborhood. It's a 233rd is a busy thoroughfare, especially going from Jerome all the way to the Bronx River. When they were doing their sewer lines, I mean, they had their people out there. You know, they did it respectfully at a certain time that they got from DOT. They didn't go over that time, and you know, everybody was happy. There was no complaints, and I just want to commend you guys on that, beautifying that area because the building is beautiful. And thank you. And we need, you know, more people like you coming to our neighborhoods to build the proper way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And we didn't pay him either.
My boy Rudy. It's my boy Rudy.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Take care.
Well, not a problem. So thank you for that, Alfredo. We really appreciate it. And if you have any questions for, you know, the team or Mr. Torre or Mr. Modesto, please feel free to put it in the chat. And I'm certain that they'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. So also, if you put your contact information in the chat as well, gentlemen,
I did.
for the
I did.
board
David put
members and
yours
the
in.
community, we would deeply appreciate that. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, and we'll let you get back to work. I know
Yes,
how
and
you had a
I need my
long night.
screen back. So,
Absolutely. Thank you.
yes, Mr. Stricker.
Yeah, I would just like to say, when they first came to the board with a presentation, it was a real rough road. And to see them turn around the way they did and build that building with very few issues is amazing. And I thank them for being good to the Woodward community.
Thank
Yes,
you very
sir.
much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stricker, for your comment as well.
Okay, everyone have a good evening. We'll let you get back to work.
Not a problem.
Take
Good
care.
evening.
Bye
Thank
now.
you again. Thank you. So next, I guess, comes what's called the votorama, because if we look at our agenda next, we have some items that we need to vote on. So the first item is going to be a recommendation for an amendment to the bylaws, which we must do to form the discipline committee. So I don't know if Mr. Stricker or Carla wants to tackle this, but I'm gonna turn it over to either one.
Yeah, Dr. Burke.
Yes, sir.
The one thing that we don't really need a vote on this, but we should vote on it so the Robert President has a feeling. But
Yes,
this
sir.
was mandated by the lawyers of the city of New York, that we must have this discipline committee in the bylaws.
Yes, sir.
So this is a non-issue as far as the bylaws committee is concerned. The only thing we have to do is decide, and this is your decision as the chair of the board, whether you're going to make it a 5-person committee or a 3-person committee.
Yes, sir. I think that as a follow-up, Mr. Stricker, I think that in getting some guidance from the BP's office, I think the words were that we have to use the procedures that we would to.
Oh yeah, use the regular procedure, vote,
Right.
approve it. But I mean, this is mandated, so
Is mandated, right? So pretty much everybody should do a yes vote. So I think the way that I'm going to ask is this: if you can make a unanimous motion, then that we accept the recommendation and just form the discipline committee. And I think we'll just do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so Carl, do you want to make the motion and I'll second it?
Well, you don't need a
before
second.
we put anything.
You don't have to second it because it comes out of committee.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All you have to do is approve the committee's report, which is that we have to do it. So need a motion or
Mr. Stricker. I see Mr. Boris has his hand up, so let's see what he wants. Yes, Mr. Boris.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. So once this committee is put into place, does it fall under the jurisdictions of the bylaws that we currently have? Because then that would inevitably create a conflict of interest potentially. I do feel that we do need a discipline committee, but at this time there may be a potential conflict of interest.
In what way?
There is no. That's not relevant to the vote.
It is relevant because the matter of question the matter of question is our chairman, Dr. Burke.
The key is Dr. Burke is mandated by the bylaws.
Okay, hang on for a second, Mr. Stricker. Hang on, Mr. Stricker. I see Ursula's got her hand up, so I think let me just say something right quick. You need to be very careful with what you say in this meeting. So let me just say that. So hang on, Mr. Stricker. So Ursula, you got your hand up.
All right, so according to Tom, we have to establish this committee, but this committee will not handle any issues that were already brought up. But the committee has to be established.
Thank you, Ursula. Thank you.
So let me just be clear. People be very careful of what you say in this meeting. Okay, so to that end, Mr. Stricker, you want to take this over again?
Yes, I do. Thank you. So we are mandated by the legal authorities to put this committee into the bylaws. And we should take a vote, as we normally do, on anything that goes along with the bylaws committee, to say yes and say no, but actually no or abstain is just, will just be your opinion because it's mandated by the lawyers. So, and the other point I want to make is, once it's approved by the board, the chair will appoint the committee, and whether it be 3 people or 5 people. My personal feeling is it should be 5 people because it gives a little more thread to the board. So otherwise, that's it. I can say I make a motion that we accept the report of the bylaws committee.
Is there a second?
Second. I second.
Okay. So the motion.
I'm sorry, who was that?
It's me and
John Isaac.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Can you say it again?
John Isaac Caller.
John Isaac.
Oh, thank you, John.
Right, and seconded by John
Okay.
Isaac. Okay, so call for the question for the acceptance of the report. Is there anybody here that does not want to accept the report? We're going to speed this along. Is there anybody here that does not want to accept the recommendation of the committee or the report? Without objection, so ordered. So that passes. So now the question becomes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like caller to say something before we continue.
Okay, sure, and certainly.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, wait, I'm sorry. I missed some of that. There's a lot of interference on the line. Can someone please repeat that?
It was unanimously approved by the board. Are you there, caller?
I know. I'm sorry. I still couldn't hear that. So we're just voting right now on accepting.
It's been voted. No, it's been voted and approved.
Okay.
Unanimously, because now what I did do is turn the committee report over to you to make that statement you would have liked to make.
Okay, so my statement was about the next steps of the committee.
No.
So, what? Sorry?
The next steps of the committee. The committee is already formed. Chairman Burke will decide who serves on the committee, whether it's 3 people or 5 people. You asked me, can you make a statement tonight? And that's what I'm asking you to do.
So my statement was going to be about the issues with
you were going to make a statement about Joe Cloud.
Well, I'm sorry. I can't. I just haven't. The phone is just a problem. I'm not hearing properly. So my statement was about bylaws committee current status. Is that what you're asking me about? Okay. So the bylaws committee had planned to meet, and can you guys hear me all right? Because I'm not hearing very well.
Carla, we can hear you, Carla.
I hear you well.
Okay. So the bylaws committee had planned to meet in April to review the last version of the document, but there was a miscommunication with the office and we did not meet. So we're going to meet again in May. I'll work with the office to schedule that meeting. But so, I want to do a shout out to Ms. Joan Claude, who helped with the final revision of the document. So this weekend, I plan to update the document with those changes. The original document is from 2000, so it had a lot of typographical errors, and Ms. Claude was very helpful in and generous in giving of her time to clean that up. So we're going to clean that all up, send it out again to the committee, but all the changes, other than grammatical, typographical errors, were already voted on. So we don't need another vote on the entire document. We just need to produce a nice, clean document. So that's my update. Carl, was there anything else you wanted me to say?
No, that's what we discussed. Thank you very much.
Right.
And that's the end of the bylaws committee report tonight.
Okay, so thank you very, very much, Mr. Stricker. We appreciate you, you and the work that you and Ms. Bersati do. So pretty much we now have the discipline committee in effect. So as Mr. Stricker said, I will go about appointing the members of that committee who is to serve. I've already talked to some people already, and we'll move forward as well as some guidance from the borough president's office as to how to address not only the committee but also issues that come before the committee as well. So the discipline committee has been, and I'm happy, I know that a lot of you board members pushed for that discipline committee to get it into fruition, and now we have it. So we will definitely make certain to make use of that committee. So thank you very, very much, board members, for that. So let's take care of some old business and then we will be done. I'm looking at the time and we're running a little long than we normally would, but obviously, with the congressman coming in, giving us some great information, hopefully that's okay, but I'm gonna try to get through this as quickly as possible. So for board members, for those that were aware, the Transportation Committee had a joint meeting with the Economic Development meeting and committee back, I want to say on April the 8th. And so I just want to share my screen, and I'm hoping that this is sharing right quick. And okay, this is not it. And I'm trying to find it. And this is, here we go.
Yes.
So what this is, of course, this is that meeting. So everybody had a copy of this. So I'm not going to go through this entire presentation because, again, I know that Ursula sent this out to everyone, but this is for those committee members, for those community members that do not have a copy of this, feel free to contact Ms. Ursula Green and she can get this out to you. So what I'm just doing is very quickly, I am strolling through the presentation that was given by the New York City Department of Transportation. Now, it was not voted on at the Transportation Committee meeting for a couple of reasons. A, we were waiting on a report from the FDNY, and we were able to get that back, and of course they didn't offer any objections to that. So with that being said, I want to turn this over to our second vice chair and chair of the Transportation Committee, Mr. John Isaac, to have him talk about this briefly and then call for the vote, because we have to vote on this because they want to start on this project next month. So we have to have a vote on it tonight. So Mr. Isaac?
Good evening, everyone. It's ironic that today is Earth Day and we're discussing this project. Again, the Economic Development and the Transportation Committee had a joint meeting to discuss the improvements or safety improvements on White Plains Road from 226th Street to Burke Avenue. In our community or in the whole United States right now, we're trying to move away from fossil fuels to reduce our carbon footprint. So part of the improvements on White Plains Road, they're planning to install bike lanes which will be along the curb. And biking is actually a good way to promote good health and fitness. And It will increase our mobility for those who cannot afford major transportation in our district. Essentially, White Plains Road is a Vision Zero road, and from 2018 until 2020, there were 411 accidents on White Plains Road. So this improvements will actually help improve the intersections and make it safer for us on White Plains Road. So I endorse it, and I'm asking the board members to approve this proposal by DOT.
Okay, so thank you very, very much, Mr. Isaac. I appreciate that. Mrs. Benitez, since you on, I know we're going to call the roll soon for the vote, but since you were chair of the Economic Development Committee, now unfortunately we really didn't get the economic development piece, but I still want you to speak on it since you were there and what you would recommend.
As far as I'm concerned, it's a good idea to have the safety lanes, and we'll see how it works. I really don't have too much to say about the, since I don't ride bikes or anything. All I find myself doing is watching to see whether I'm going to get hit by a bike or not in those safety lanes. Okay. Because I experienced it this past weekend and went downtown, and I had to remember to look both ways because I had traffic, plus I had the bicycle safety lane. And you have to look, and then 10 bikes are coming down, approaching you, you know you got to watch out for them. So I think it's a good idea, and it might be a good way of controlling traffic. And that's the way I think about it.
Okay, so thanks, Ms. Benitez. So here's what's going to happen. So for those of you that want to look at the presentation by itself, then again, you can go, Ursula has sent that out to the board. And if you want, I'm sure she can get that out to members of the community if you want to take a look at it. If you want to take a look at the presentation that was given to the community board, then I'm going to ask that you look at the joint meeting of the Transportation/Economic Development Committee, which took place on April 8th. And you can find that on Community Board 12's YouTube page. So with that being said, we have the recommendations of both committee chairs. So we're going to call for 2 votes. The first vote is to accept the recommendation that we approve. Actually, no, yeah, we're going to accept the committee report. And then, of course, we're going to accept the approval of the White Plains Road Safety Improvement Plan. So let me ask this, well, you know, let's just call the roll. Let's call the roll, Madam Secretary, because we need to determine whether or not we have a quorum anyway. So, Madam Secretary?
Okay, we're going for the approval of the Transportation
Can we
Committee.
ask a question before we vote?
What do
I'm
you
sorry.
Doctor, can I ask a question of John?
Certainly.
Yes, John, I just want to ask you a question. What are they? I'm very happy to see the bike lanes going in, but I'm concerned about the bus bulbs at 219th and 225th Street. How are they going to accommodate the bikes where the riders wait for the bus?
I think they're gonna have like some kind of separation. I don't know if it's gonna be bollards or whatever, but I have to go back to the plans and check it out.
The sidewalk, yeah, because the sidewalk goes right out to the main roadway. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna put a bike lane along the curve, you're gonna have to cut that bus bulb up.
I think they're gonna cut the bus bulb.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
They said that they were going to put like a ramp or cut through it.
Yeah, they're gonna cut through it.
That's
I prefer the ramp, but however they do it is fine. I make a motion, we accept your report of the combined committees of transportation and economic development.
So the motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Clinton Mike. So is there any more in readiness for our call for the vote?
So somebody has to make a motion to call, to vote for the report.
Well, no, Mr. Drucker. So right now it's been moved and properly seconded. So we're getting any more.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right. So we're about to vote on vote on the report of the Transportation Committee and Economic Development Committee, and then we're
That's correct. And then you're gonna have to
right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And so since we haven't looked at the minutes, we need to determine whether or not we have a quorum. So this needs to be a vote where Madam Secretary actually calls the roll.
Ready.
Okay. So Madam Secretary is ready. So with that being said, it's yours, Madam Secretary. Oh, by the way, so so right now everybody can unmute themselves. So let's make this quick. All right. And I know Madam Secretary says this, so I'm going to say it for her. When you know your name is coming up, just be unmuted. That way, not before, unmute yourself, say your vote so we can get done quickly. Okay. Thank you, board members. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Judith Benitez, aye. Egeria Bennett.
Aye.
Sidney Blair.
Aye.
Denise Bond. Denise Bond, did I hear you?
Aye.
Thank you. Ivan Boras.
Aye.
Paula Basati.
Aye.
Marlene Allen.
Aye.
Marlene Allen Brown.
Aye.
Jerome Brown. Jerome Brown. Jerome Brown. Victor Brown.
Aye.
Deacon Brown.
Aye, Jerome Brown.
Thank you. Norbert Bryan. Norbert Bryan. Sage Campbell.
Aye.
Joan Clark.
Aye.
Beatrice Coronel.
Aye.
Pauline Dickerson.
Aye.
Kevin Eichelberger.
Aye.
Alfredo Figueroa.
Aye.
Barbara Gibson. Barbara Gibson. Johnny Goff.
Aye.
Chantel Green. Chantel Green. Robert Hall. Robert Hall. Robert Hall.
Aye.
Thank you. Lisa Hayes.
Aye.
John Isaac.
Aye.
James Theodore. Theodore James.
Aye.
Thank you. Keisha Lago Martin.
Aye.
I for Lass. Paul Lanzano.
Aye.
Lucille Martin.
Aye.
Trinica War.
Aye.
Clinton Mike.
Aye.
Carmen Ortiz. Frank Porter. Frank Porter.
He said aye, Ms. Benitez.
Thank you. Claudia Powell. Claudia Powell. Anthony Reed.
Aye.
Dr. Dina Mott Robbins.
Aye.
Harry Singh is excused. Carl Stricker,
Aye.
the ayes have it. Norbert Bryan, Norbert,
Norbert, star 6, Norbert.
Abstain.
you abstain?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Claudia
Madam
Powell.
Secretary, I just want to make sure you got Jerome Brown.
Yes, we got you as
Yes, I
aye.
have you, Mr. Brown. I have you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Burke.
Okay. You
The
got
ayes
it.
have it.
The ayes have it. So the reports have been accepted. Now, here's the question. Does anybody want to change their vote? Because now we're voting on the approval of the White Plains Road plan. So to that end, is there anybody that wants to change?
Need a motion.
Yep. You
Zero?
need a
Okay, I'm trying to speed it along, but okay. So you want to make the motion, Mr.
Can't
Stricker?
speed it along because it's illegal.
Okay, I got you, Mr. Stricker. I
I
got
make
you.
a motion that we vote in favor of the committee's recommendation.
I
Okay,
second.
so the motion has been moved. Is there a second?
I second. Ivan Boris.
All right, it's been seconded by Mr. Boris.
Call the
Any
question.
other unreadiness?
Call the question.
Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Norbert Bryan.
Aye.
Aye.
You want to call
Norbert
the roll, Madam Secretary?
I had one question. Norbert Bryan,
Oh, Norbert.
are you abstaining or are you voting? Yay or nay?
Star 6, Norbert. Norbert.
Abstain.
You abstaining? Okay.
Okay, thank you. Again, the ayes have it.
Okay.
I vote no to that report.
Okay. Motion passes. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. So we're going to get through this quickly. I see Mr. Weinstein is here. I wasn't expecting him to come, but I'm glad he's here. So George has already given us an update as to when that meeting is going to take place. So if you remember, I mentioned this briefly, that we've been talking about meeting with HPD and city planning for quite some time. And so I see where Mr. Weinstein is here. So that's great. By the way, just to let you know, I wasn't going to attack you earlier in the meeting, Mr. Weinstein. I think I have an appreciation for what you do. I know we got off to a rocky start, but you were able to answer my questions. And so I'm looking forward to you being able to answer the board's questions and the community's questions. And so that's going to take place on May the 1st, as our district manager has said. But you're here tonight, which, like I said, I appreciate it. So if you want to bring greetings from the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, we'd be more than happy to hear from you.
Yes, that's fine. But I'll just quickly say, because I don't want to hold everybody up, that for that presentation, for that stakeholders meeting, my staff has been working on a presentation. The Bronx Office of City Planning has been working on a presentation, and we've had a number of discussions between us so that we can coordinate with each other and complement each other, taking into account the questions that were sent to us. So we'll give overviews, we'll give specifics about the procedures and policies, but along the way, hoping that we'll be answering almost all those questions.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Weinstein. And as I said before, I'm really, what I hope happens is that you kind of sort of got a glimpse tonight of how some of the people feel. And again, we're not, as I said, you and I have spoken before, so I'm not going to go and talk about that in front of the books we're trying to get done. But what I'm hoping, board members, is that you have Mr. Weinstein here. So if you have some questions for him, you can put it in the chat. But what I'm really hoping is that you come on May 1st to our presentation, as I said, because this has been a long time coming, and you get to ask all the questions that you ask me or all the questions that you ask the district manager. You can actually ask the agency who can answer those questions for you. So today, I want to thank you, Mr. Weinstein, for coming in. And as I said before, I know the district manager thought I was going to get after you tonight, but I wasn't. But nonetheless, I just want to say, thank you very much for coming. And I really and truly do appreciate you. And we look forward to you answering our questions next week.
Sure.
Not a problem. Have a good evening. Okay. So last couple of items, we're almost down to the end. Last couple of items, of course, it's elections time. And so our nominating committee chair, Mr. Clinton Mike, is here. And so he's going to tell us what's going on with his committee. And we can go from there. So just to let you know, all of the officer positions are open. So if you want to run for executive office, all of those positions, as Mrs. Johnson said, with the 47th Precinct Community Council, same thing here. All the offices are open. So Clinton Mike, sir, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Anyone hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. So I am chairing the nominating committee at this time. I'm going to keep this short so that we can, at some point, be finished. So right now, next month, the month of May, we're going to vote for all the executive positions, which would be the chair, the first vice chair, second vice chair, secretary, and the treasurer. With that said, we're going to vote in the same manner since we are currently still in the pandemic. We're going to vote in the same manner in which we voted in, I believe it was October, whatever. We're going to vote in the same manner. We're going to vote by Google form, and whoever cannot access that Google form, you will have a write-in ballot. Does everyone understand? We're going to do it the exact same way that we did it last time. The Google form, that'll be emailed to all the board members. And if you don't have email or you don't have a manner in which you can access the Google form, then you're going to obtain a write-in ballot. So again, the committee is made up of myself, Mr. Theodore James, Marlene Brown Allen, and Denise Bond. That is the nominating committee for 2021. So at this point, we are accepting nominations from the floor. So with that said, whoever is interested in nominating someone at this time can do it right now. You can unmute yourself, and if you have a nomination, and I will record it here for myself and my committee at this time.
Hey, Clinton,
Okay, yes.
correct me if I'm
Yes.
wrong. Didn't we create a second position for the secretary? Should we have a recording and a correspondence?
Okay, so Dr. Burke is shaking his head yes. So, okay, you're right, absolutely. So I will add that to the slate. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, sorry, this is Carla. And I need Mr. Stricker here as well. We have not published the new bylaws yet that allow for both a recording secretary and a corresponding secretary. So I'm not sure if we can nominate people for those roles yet. Carl, are you still on?
Yes, call it. I was thinking about that, but since the election is in June, we should have it before the board in May, so it should be in effect by then.
Okay, so the bylaws committee is planning to meet in May. So I think those two roles are up for, we have to have that meeting first, right?
Right, but you know that's we're going to approve it because we know they're already given the right to move to approve it. So we will present it at the May meeting, and that's when the nominations are going to be made. So we should be covered.
Okay, good. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla.
Yeah.
Sorry, Clint.
Okay, no problem. I'm glad that was brought up. Okay, so the positions again are chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, secretary, recording secretary, and treasurer. Okay?
It should
Everyone
be
clear?
corresponding secretary.
Corresponding secretary? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No problem. Gotcha. So at this time, if you wish to nominate someone for a position, the floor is yours.
I'd like to nominate Tolene.
Gibson calling. Good evening.
Okay. Good evening.
Barbara Gibson LeGrant wish to nominate Ivan Boris for chair.
Who's laughing?
Shut up. Why would you?
Yeah, but that's
It could
not.
be your lips.
Yeah, but that's not nice that they're laughing.
Okay, I got it.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to nominate Tolene Dickinson for treasurer.
Okay, Anthony, nominate Tolene for treasurer. Gotcha.
Well, hold on, Clinton. First of all, people have to accept. So I'm going to assume before you write them down, they have to accept the nomination. So Ms. Gibson nominated Mr. Boris for chair. He has to accept. Mr. Reed nominated Ms. Dickinson for treasurer. She has to accept. And anything else. So that has to go
Question,
first.
please. Question, please. Question, please.
Okay, question. What's your question?
Aren't you supposed to stay single? Right now, it's all about the chair. Isn't that procedure? First chair, then vice chair, then you go on to the next.
You don't have to follow the procedure. All you have to do is nominate a person for a position.
Thank you, Carl.
When you do the final vote, then it has to go in order. In other words, if somebody is going to oppose Ivan for chair and it's brought up at the next meeting, and then you go, is there any other nominations from the floor? Is that clarified?
Thank you, Carl.
Hello?
Is that clear? Are you clear now?
Muted.
Are you clear now?
Muted at all.
She said thank you.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Dr. Burke for chair.
So
I didn't hear you. Say that again, Theodore.
I nominate Dr. Michael Burke for chairman.
Okay.
I nominate Carla Bagassi for the corresponding secretary.
Okay. Got you.
And let me go ahead and accept for treasurer.
Okay. And likewise, Clinton, I definitely accept for chair. And I appreciate you, Ted, for nominating me.
I nominate Egeria for vice chair.
Okay. Hold on, I'm typing.
Which chair? Which vice chair?
The chair she's sitting on.
First vice chair. Egeria Bennett, first vice chair.
John Isaac for second chair. John Isaac for second chair.
I was just gonna say.
All right, my bad.
Okay.
And I do accept.
Hold on. 1 minute. Okay, you can accept. Go ahead.
Okay, I accept for the nomination and thank you, Beatrice.
I also accept.
Oh, did you accept?
Yes.
Okay.
So the jury accepts, Tolene accepts, Michael Burke accepts.
John Isaac accepts.
John Isaac accepts.
And Carla accepted.
Carla accepts. Ivan?
I also accept. Great.
So I think I was nominated for recording secretary, but I would Right.
Corresponding secretary.
Right.
No, but I think so. Judy is corresponding secretary. I think I need to be nominated for recording secretary.
I nominate you for recording secretary.
I nominate you for recording secretary.
A second. that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, Judy. Sorry, Judy.
So, Carl, you're nominating her for recording secretary.
Yes. And I didn't mean to step on Judy's toes.
You're not
Okay.
stepping on my toes.
Okay. Well, thank God. It would hurt.
Someone call me. Someone, Clinton.
Yes, I did. I would like to nominate Ms. Judith Benitez for our recording secretary.
Thank you, Lisa. I accept corresponding.
Corresponding, thank you.
Right, corresponding, right. Okay. Yeah.
Got it together.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
I'd like to nominate Fredo Figueroa for first vice chair.
Who's this? Keisha?
Yes.
Nominate Fredo Figueroa.
Yeah, yeah.
First vice chair.
Do you accept?
Thank you, but that's Ms. G's area. I appreciate you though. Thank you, I appreciate that.
I just want to say one thing. I appreciate you, not accepting with that comment. But I think that, there's room for everyone in leadership positions. And I just want to not for you to feel like a role for someone that you definitely
I appreciate you.
powerfully, but I hear you.
Thank you though, I appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I have to sign off because my phone is dying.
Yeah, we're almost done. We're almost done.
I'll try to keep it going.
Not a problem, Mr. Stricker. So we're almost done. So we're getting to the point in the meeting where, and this is really paining me, and I've really been having consternation about this, but, it's...
Can I just say one thing?
Oh, sure.
Let me just clear up. I want to make sure I got all the acceptances. Egeria, you did accept?
I think she did on my...
Yes, I did.
Okay. And Alfredo nominated John, and John, you accepted, right?
Sure.
Yes.
And Judith Benitez accepted, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I got everything. Good, thank you.
Okay, so next
Okay,
month...
good, thank you. Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we will have everything in place, and as I say, we're not going to, like I said, the nominating committee chair will let us know whether or not he wants us to make statements as to why we think we will be the best person for the job, and so forth and so on. And then board members, it'll be up to you to decide who you want as your next chair, who you want as your next first vice chair, second vice chair, both recording and corresponding secretaries, as well as treasurer. Okay.
I would like to make one last nomination.
Okay, waiting.
I want to nominate myself for first vice chair.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Hear you.
Are you there?
Yes, hello?
I'd like to nominate Ivan Boric for vice chair. Ivan.
And then once again, I'll accept.
Thank you.
Which one?
I can run for both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Carl, can you run for two?
You shouldn't run for more than one position.
Not in the bylaws.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering. Can you run for two at once?
It's three you can run for.
You choose the position you want to run for.
Not true.
You can't run for two.
Oh,
Not in the
Jesus.
bylaws.
Sorry, guys, but I've never heard that before. Is that in our bylaws?
It's not in the bylaws. You know, we can review that because the vote is not until June anyway. I think we could review it, but I don't remember reading it in the bylaws.
Okay, let's review.
Yeah, let's review. 'Cause,
We're gonna review that right. We can review that tomorrow, or
yeah, we're not gonna do it now. No, Clinton. No, we're not doing it now. No.
Can I have the
So-
floor for a second?
What's
Dr.
that?
Robbins speaking. In most organizations that I've been in, you cannot run for more than one position.
That's normally how I understand it as well. But as I said, you know, Dr. Robbins, we're gonna, you know, due to the
research.
nature of some things that's happening, we will review.
Yeah, if it's not in the
And,
bylaws, it should be. It would cause too much confusion.
Well, I agree, Dr. Robbins, but as I said before, you know, we're doing everything by the book, so we're just going to review. But I tend to agree with you and most others that normally in the organizations that I belong to, you can only one for one position. But as I said before, we'll review and, you know, come back with a determination.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Burke, I just want to say something. I sit on 8 boards, and it's not permitted on any of those 8 boards.
Well, again, Mr. Stricker, the organizations I belong to, and I belong to several as well, I've never seen that either. So, you know, again, but, you know, let's do our due diligence and being fair. But I, you know, again, I'll just say it like that. Okay. All right. So let's move forward to almost the last part. So I'm going to table the mandatory inclusionary housing proposal. I'm going to table that because it's kind of late. And we'll bring that up at another meeting.
Excuse me. I just wanted to say, I believe that Miss Alexis from the borough president's office responded in the chat.
Oh, did she? Okay, what did she say?
She said one person can run for more
Yes, I
than
see
one
that.
position,
Yeah,
unless your bylaws
state
state different.
And so that's why I say, Mrs. Bond, you know, we need to review the bylaws because I don't think that's in there, but I will double check to see, because if the bylaws doesn't state that, then so be it. You know, we can, Mr. Boris, if he wants to run for chair and he wants to run for first vice chair, he can. If you know, if the bylaws, so that's why I said we need to review the bylaws first. And that's why if you've noticed, Mrs. Bond, I've been proceeding with caution, right? So just to make certain
Absolutely.
that
I just wanted to bring it to your attention that Alexis responded. That's all.
Well, you know, Mrs. Bond, that's why that's the part share, because I appreciate you and you're thorough.
Can we move on, please?
Yes, we're moving on. So the last item up for vote tonight is, you know, a painful one because, as I said, I like these people personally. So, you know, you've asked me to come before you with board members that have not been doing their fair share. So what I would like to do is let you know what's happened. So in the past, okay, everybody, I need you to mute yourselves, please. So I said, Carly, you got your mic open, and everybody else, please mute yourselves. If not, I do not want to have to lock the mics. So please, everybody, mute yourselves. Thank you. So what we've done is, so, you know, as you know, I tried to call all the people that were on the list tonight, right? So I tried to call everybody, right? And I was able to speak to some, and they told me that they would be at the meetings. Well, obviously they weren't there. So what then happened was last month, we voted for the commission, all right? And so we were in the affirmative. And so I wrote a letter. I wrote a hard copy as well as an electronic copy. So what I want to do is I at least want to share the hard copy that I wrote, and then you know, we can go from there. And again, as I said before, I'm not going to take too much time with this. And so I wrote each member a hard copy and an electronic copy, right? So the electronic copy went out the day before the general board meeting. And so the hard copy was signed by me and it was mailed out by our community associate. And so in this particular case, we illustrated, what was going on, the meetings that were missed by all of the members that is on this list. Okay, I'm gonna have to mute the mics because it seems like everybody is talking again. So let me mute mics and then go from there. Okay. So what wound up happening was that I sent out an electronic copy on March the 24th. I sent out a hard copy the day after. Now, what I've understood was that I got a call from Mr. Frank and I got a call from Ms. Powell, who stated that they did not get their hard copies until recently. That's understandable. However, I still sent out an electronic copy. I'm glad to see Mr. Frank here because, as I told him, I like him personally, right? So this is not personal. This is about doing what I said that I was going to do and honoring the words of the borough president. So, and the same thing with Ms. Powell, I spoke to her as well. And, she again said that she did not get the hard copy. And she also stated that she did not get the electronic copy. I thought I heard her say that. That she didn't get the electronic copy. But either way, I did send the electronic copy out and I have the emails to prove it. On top of that, what I was hoping was that I would get a response from all three by April of 14th. So as you know, they had until April of 14th to respond to me in writing so that we could consider why they haven't been coming and what we could do about it, right? So I didn't get a response. So despite the fact that they didn't get the hard copy, they still got the electronic copy. And so there was no response. And so, at that point, that triggered an automatic vote. So that's what we're here to do tonight. So I see a question in the chat. So Mrs. Hayes, I see your question. So I'm going to address your question. What I was also hoping from these board members was that because we had a Parks Committee meeting, so Mr. Frank sits on the Parks Committee, as you look at the report that was sent out by Mrs. Bond, Mr. Frank wasn't there. We had a joint Transportation and Economics Committee, Economic Development Committee meeting. Unfortunately, Mrs. Powell wasn't there. So despite the fact that they missed a general board meeting last month, Mrs. Powell didn't, Mr. Frank did, I was hoping that they would attend the committee meetings this month. That didn't happen. In addition, Mrs. Green hasn't served on any committees in year 2020 or this year. And if you notice, I sent out a committee assignment and she's still the only board member without a committee assignment. So before, I call for this very painful vote, I'm going to answer, a question. And so I saw Ms. Hayes, I see your hand was up, it's down. So I'm going to, ask the question and answer any questions and, go from there and let's see what happens. So Ms. Hayes, if you have a question, feel free to ask it.
I just was pointing you to the direction of the chat. Alexis from the Borough President's Office asked if you can share the nominations again.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Clinton, if you could get with Alexis and get her the nominations, please.
I'm sending it to her in the chat. I'm doing it as we speak.
All right.
You're speaking.
All right. Yes, Mr. Boris, what's your question?
It's not a question, it's more of a statement. I really stressed the fact of last meeting to give you some type of review and stating that we would it's just haste. We're in a pandemic. And I humbly asked every one of you board members to not vote this way, and we did with our leadership. And I say to you again, these people died, they lost their lives, and they contributed to our communities, and they gave so much for us to not even consider them during a pandemic. And I mean, if at all times, Chair Dr. Burke, I would like a moment of silence for these people that lost their lives from our board. Okay, during this time, if I humbly ask you to give them that much time.
Any other questions?
I have a comment as well. This is Dr.
Okay.
Robbins.
Yes,
I
Dr.
wanted
Robbins.
I wanted to say that, everyone here is giving their time freely. No one is getting paid for this position. I think that in cases like this, that it shouldn't be a public vote, that they should just be sent a letter, not the ones that are deceased. I mean, a letter of condolence to the families of the ones that have been deceased. But, for anyone else that's in the same position, thank you for applying. We don't know, we sent you a variety of correspondence and all of these things, and you have not, and you're no longer on the board. But I don't, to put it publicly and put it in a record, I think that's pretty damaging for a voluntary position. So, I mean, last time I had problems logging in, I got in late. That's what I wanted to say at that time. But, I want us to keep this in consideration, that it shouldn't, people should not be penalized that way. Just say that thank you for your services and encourage them to apply later on if their circumstances have changed. But for us to condemn them and to write them up and say, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do this, when they clearly wanted to be a part of this, I think that's barking up the wrong tree.
Well, Dr. Robbins, I'm going to address a couple of things that you said. So first, we have to conduct the vote in public because that's what the bylaws state. So we can't conduct a secret vote. The bylaws state this because this goes to the borough president's office. That's the first thing. The second thing is the borough president has made it perfectly clear, and again, I don't want to put the letter back up, but that everybody has to attend, whether we're in a pandemic or not. So let me address what you're saying about the pandemic, or what was said previously about the pandemic. We're at home. You know what I mean? With the exception of Deacon, who's watching with Mr. Hall, and I'm, as I said before, I know Mr. Frank is here, thank goodness. But the bottom line is we were all at home. So you mean to tell me that you couldn't pick up the phone and call? So this is not about trying to humiliate anyone, Dr. Robbins. This is about following the bylaws, all right? And that's what the bylaw says. We have to do a public vote. We can't do a secret vote on this. Now, to your point, as to, just sending a letter and say, thank you and go on your merry way. That's what Community Board 3 does. So at Community Board 3, if you miss 3 meetings, you don't even get the vote. They just automatically cut you off and keep it moving. But that's maybe how their bylaws are stated. Okay, our bylaws aren't stated that way. Our bylaws say we have to vote. But at certain community boards, that's what they do, right? I think Community Board 8 is another one, right? Where you don't get that opportunity. If you miss a number of meetings, we're gone. So I'm glad that Mr. Frank is here, but this is his first meeting since February of last year, right? And like I said, and I like Mr. Frank personally, and I told him that. Same thing with Mrs. Powell, all right? This is her first meeting, her second meeting since February of last year. So it doesn't matter, again, we have plenty of people that want to serve now. Mr. Hall has said that in the past. He said that at our last executive committee meeting, that we have people that want to serve. So again, if you do not want to vote these people out, then say no, and then that way they can stay on the board. But just make no mistake about it, that's going to make it harder for the people that are working, like Ageria, okay, like Clinton, okay, like Ms. Clyde, and so many others. I see Mr. Isaac Eaton, and so many others that are working hard, serving on 2, 3, and 4 committees. When you have people that are just coming to the meeting now, that's not fair to them. So that's my response to that, Ms. Robbins. Dr. Robbins, I'm sorry. And so that's why
Question, Barbara Gibson.
Okay, well, first of all, you need to be recognized. So that's people had their hands up before you, Ms. Gibson. So
very well.
People, so if you have a question, hit *9, and I'll recognize you.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
I just wait till you call my name. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Cornell.
I think that I don't want to sound insensitive, but being in this position, it was very competitive to get here. And Ivan, I understand your pain. I lost a lot of members. I work with suicidal ideation teens who are at risk every day. And so we need the collective. And unfortunately, we can't sit around and wait. We need the numbers to fight. And so I know you're running for executive board. Ivan, I've yet to see you in one of my meetings. I need everybody to join. And so everybody has all this energy to fight each other. We need to fight together. And this is becoming very frustrating. And so, yes, it may sound insensitive that we're voting people out, but we need people to fight together. And that's the problem. That's the major problem. And that's what we should be focused on right now. We do have people fighting and dying, but rather than fight each other, let's fight for them. And that should be our mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cornell. Ms. Hayes?
Thank you for recognizing me. I did just want to ask, when people unfortunately pass away, are they not just removed off of the board? And if not, how can we put that into effect? Is that something that I can move to the bylaws committee so that everybody feels that we are valued? So to Mr. Borres, I understand you. I do want to say that we value everyone who has served, and that if they have passed on, we want to acknowledge that. But on the same token, I think that it should be something that just kind of happens as a matter of standard order and procedures, right? And so if there's something that I can do to support that and move for bylaws to make sure that that just happens, I would appreciate that. So nobody is feeling as if we're attacking the people who have served and moved on with God to Jesus. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Martin, Mrs. Lago Martin.
So just really quickly, I just want to mention the email that Dr. Burke sent out saying that he was going to ask for the reinstatement, essentially, of those members who had passed away, so that it wasn't that we had voted them off. But I feel like, in agreement with Beatrice said, we're here to do a job, and we all need to be committed. And so if there are things that are going on in your personal life or whatever, make a call. I had a rough day today. I didn't get on this call until after 8 o'clock, but I'm committed to serve this community. And so I got on the call. And I feel like that's what we should expect from every member who is serving on this board. And that's all.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Martin. I see you, Mr. Lanzano. So let me comment on that, Mrs. Martin. So as you know, Mr. Singh is not here and Mr. Hussein Abdullah is not here. And you know what they did? They called me. They said, Dr. Burke, we can't make it, for whatever reasons that they gave, and can we be excused? And the immediate answer was yes. I sent a note to Madam Secretary as well as Ursula and George to let them know these members were excused. The reason that we are here is because these members chose not to call, despite the fact that I've reached out to them, right? Decided not to call. So I don't want to hear any excuses about a pandemic or anything like that, because excuses are tools of the incompetent. They're used to build monuments of nothingness, and those who practice their uses are seldom capable of anything else. So that's what excuses are. So to that end, to sit up here and say, oh, well, we're in a pandemic and people can't come. Everybody here has been in a pandemic, and most of us have been here attending these meetings. And as Ms. Cornell says, we have work to do. I have committee chairs. I have Mr. Hall. I have Ms. Cornell. I have Ms. Benitez asking me for members for their committees because there aren't enough, and I don't want to burn out the same people who's doing the work over and over and over again. And so, and yes, that is absolutely fantastic. Yes, we have the older board members, and I get that, but even Deacon is here. You know what I mean? And he's not tech savvy. And I'm not putting you on blast, Deacon, but because the Deacon knows that I love him. But the bottom line is that Mr. Stricker has a phone, right? If nothing else, he calls. So, and I know he said that his phone died, but, that's just a bunch of excuses, in my opinion. So to that end, and as I said, it's not personal because I like these board members personally. But if they're not going to have the decency to call me to let me know that they're not going to make it, and of course, to not even go to their committee meetings, I could see if they even missed the general board meetings. We had committee meetings this month and nobody on this list was there. So I see two more questions. I see Ms. Lanzano, I see Mr. Hall, and then we'll move forward. Yes, Mrs. Lanzano.
I don't know if I was distracted, excuse me, while you were mentioning the names, but did you mention Gail Clark? Because
No,
she
she's not
died.
on the list. She's not on the list, Mrs. Lanzano.
She died last April.
Yes,
I
sir.
just found out about it. I was calling Ursula to get her to one of my meetings, and we couldn't find her. And turns out she's been dead almost over a year now.
You're absolutely right. And so I sent a note to that, Mrs. Lanzano. I sent a note. Unfortunately, their families did not let us know. I mean, I called repeatedly to their numbers just to try to find out what was going on.
Me
and
too.
No one answered, as well as sending several emails. And again, we found out. And of course, once we found out, we went to take the corrective actions, both at this office and at the borough president's office, respectively. So, to that end, it's unfortunate that none of their family members let us know that they had passed away, because other than that, they would have never been on the list.
No, I just wanted to let the board know that, because I just found out myself
Yes,
a
sir.
couple of last month that she had passed away. That's all.
Yes, sir. No, I sent out a note about 2 weeks ago. So, Mr. Hall.
No one is treating this pandemic the way it should be treated, because I don't think anyone knows how. Now, I sat here and listened to these nominations. I can't even run for a nominating position because I am so busy trying to make sure that my development doesn't get privatized. I don't even have time for that. But the fact of the matter is, if you cannot call and you cannot make things known, the only ulterior motive that you could have is to put these individuals that you really like, put them on a committee and let them work their way back onto this board. But for all intents and purposes, at this particular time, it appears they do not belong on this board. And actually, when you divide everything everyone's saying, that's exactly what the denomination comes to. And that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. And again, as I said before, you do not have to be a member of the community board to be on the committee. So I thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Hall. So, Ms. Gibson, you have one last question. So ask your question, and I'm going to call for the vote.
Regarding people being on time, you said that they would be dismissed if they're not on time. You said 10 minutes. And then what about those that go off and come on? And do you want us to stay on the entire meeting? How does that affect just the meetings alone?
Well, Ms. Gibson, I can answer that question later, but that has nothing to do with what we're about to vote on. So I think at this point we're tired. We're running late. And like I said, we appreciate Congressman Bowman for coming on because that was great. But I'm going to call for the vote, and because that has nothing to do with the vote at hand. So I'm going to call for the vote for Ms. Green.
I beg your pardon.
From there. Madam Secretary,
I beg your pardon.
Please.
You're being very rude.
Ms. Gibson,
You're out of order.
we're trying to take care of business, okay, Ms. Gibson? Well, I do not have time to argue. If you have a question like that, you can either call me and we can discuss it, or you can come into one of our committee meetings. So we have a vote to get to, okay? Thank you. Madam Secretary.
We're we're getting ready to do the expulsion
Yes, ma'am.
of Miss Chantel Green.
Ms. Green. We're doing Ms. Green first, and then we're going to ask if anybody wants to change their vote for the others.
All right, I'm going to start calling the roll.
Yes, ma'am.
Benitez, aye. Egeria Bennett. Egeria.
Aye.
Thank you. Sydney Blair. Sydney Blair. Blair.
Aye.
Okay. Denise Bond.
Aye.
Ivan Boras.
Same.
Paula Basadi.
Aye.
Pauline Ellen Brown. Pauline. Is she still here? Jerome Brown.
You still here, Marlene?
Hi,
Jerome Brown.
I have you, Mr. Brown. Victor Brown. Victor Brown. Deacon Brown.
Aye.
Norbert Brown.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. I got you. Sadie Campbell. Is Sadie still here? Sadie. Okay, I got you. Joan Claude.
Aye.
Beatrice Clark.
Aye.
Thank you. Charlene Dickinson, are you still with me? I know you stepped away.
Yeah, she had to go.
Yeah, okay.
No, she's still here. She's still here. Tolene.
No, but she had to step away.
Yeah, she had to step away. Okay.
Kevin Eichelberger.
Aye.
Alfredo Figueroa.
Aye.
Barbara LeGrand. Gibson.
I had to step away.
So what does that mean? Are you saying yay, nay, abstain, or?
Yes, abstain.
Johnny Goff. Johnny Goff. Is Johnny still on? Robert Hall.
Aye.
Lisa Hayes. Lisa.
Aye.
Thank you. John Isaac.
Aye.
Theodore James. Theodore.
Aye.
Keisha Lago Martin.
Aye.
Alpha Last. Okay. Paul Lanzano.
Aye.
Lucille Martin.
Abstain.
Shaniqua Moore.
Aye.
Oh, thank you.
Look like you know that.
Dr. Booth, did she
Aye.
hear me?
Clinton Mack.
Aye.
Thank you, Clinton. Carmen Ortiz, not present. Frank Porter. Frank Porter, is he near you? I see him, but I don't see anything happening.
Yeah.
Claudia Powell. Claudia Powell. I see you, Tolene. I see you. Anthony Reed.
Aye.
Is Claudia Powell in?
Now she left. Ms. Benitez.
Okay. Dr. Dina Robbins.
Aye.
Paul Stricker. Okay, he's gone. I guess his battery died. It carries.
Okay. So the membership for Ms. Chantel Green has been revoked. So now I'm going to ask the question. So it looks like Ms. Powell has left the meeting. So Mr. Frank is the only one here. So Mr. Frank is next. And Ms. Powell, I want to ask, is anybody going to change their vote for Mr. Frank or Ms. Powell?
I do, Sydney Blair.
Okay, yes, Sydney.
Yeah, I would like to change my vote for the two members that are still up on the for expulsion. They showed up today, so I'd like to give them some grace and change my vote.
Okay, so you change your vote? Okay, thank you, Sydney. Anybody else? Okay, Alfredo. Okay.
I have,
Beatrice. Okay, so do we need to call a roll?
I need to call the roll because
Okay, you need to call a roll. Okay.
it's very sketchy what I'm
Okay.
hearing. Okay, the
All right,
first
so let's call a roll.
all right, the first expulsion we're talking about is
So we've done Chantel Green already, so she's done.
no, but
So
the next
we got
one.
Mr. Frank, and then
Okay,
we've got Claudia Powell.
and then Claudia Powell.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure I have it.
Okay.
I'm going to call it very quickly. Hopefully you hear me. Judith Benitez, I'm going to abstain. Dejaria Bennett,
Aye.
Sidney Blair,
No.
Sidney Blair. Are you still? I see.
No, I don't think you can hear me because there's so many different people unmuted, but I'm saying no.
Thank you. Denise Bond.
They start with us.
Aye.
Ivan Boris.
Hey, abstain, nay, yeah.
Khalid Masadi.
Aye.
Mama Lee Brown Allen. We hear anything from her? Okay. Jerome Brown.
Okay, hang for a second, Madam Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not, I see too many open mics, right? You're making it go slower. Please mute yourselves if you're not being spoken to. Let's get this vote done so we can get out of here. Thank you.
Jerome Brown.
Aye.
Victor Brown. Deacon Brown. Norbert O'Brien.
Aye. Aye.
Got it. Sadie Campbell. Sadie. I got you. Joan Claude.
Aye.
Thank you. Beatrice Coronel.
Aye.
Pauline Dickinson.
Aye.
Kevin Eichelberger.
Aye.
Alfredo Figueroa.
Abstain.
Barbara Gibson.
Abstain.
Johnny Goff.
Aye.
And dealing with George Floyd verdict.
Robert Hall. Robert Hall.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Lisa Hayes. Lisa, are you still with us?
Yes, aye.
John Isaac. Theodore James. Keisha Lago Martin.
Aye.
Afa Lass, not present. Paul Lanzano. Paul Lanzano.
Abstain.
Lucille Martin.
Abstain.
Shaniqua Moore.
Abstain.
Clinton Mike.
Abstain.
Thank you. Carmen Ortiz, not present. Frank Porter. Dr. Burke, can you get to him?
He said aye. No, I think he said no. He said, wait, hang on for a second. Let me ask him. Hang on.
Ask him for the last two, please.
Let me ask him.
Mr.
Frank, what did you say?
Claudia Powell. Not present. Anthony Reed.
Aye.
Dr. Dina Robbins.
Abstain.
Carl Stricker. I think he's not here, so okay. What's
So Mr. Frank said he abstained.
Do we know what he had for Chantel Green?
For Chantel Green, well, let me ask him. Hang on.
And for the last one also, please.
He was abstaining. What about abstaining from? Okay. All right. So Mr. Frank abstained for Chantel Green, and then he's abstaining for Powell.
Okay. Give me a couple of seconds. It's kind of close. 1, 2, 3. 17, 18. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. So that was for Mr. Frank and Miss Powell.
Miss Powell, we didn't get to that yet, but if
Okay.
anyone wants to give me what they don't want, it's different from what you had before.
So, Mr. Frank, motion passes, unfortunately. And Ms. Powell, like I said, she left the meeting. So, does anybody want to change their vote? No? Okay.
So everything that you all did before, you're in agreement with, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, then I'm going to have to say the ayes have it then.
Okay, the ayes have it. Okay.
Okay.
So, with that being said, what I'm going to hope is that all three can still work with us on a committee, and but I'm gonna have to send them a letter, and I'm gonna also send the borough president a letter, letting them know that we have voted them out. And as I said, it's nothing I take pleasure in. So I'm going to table the alternatives MIH for now. We're not going to do that. So I'm going to ask for this as we close. Board members, I ask that we pray for Harry Singh. We ask that we pray for Ms. Clyde, Tolini, Ms. Ortiz, Ms. Borsati, Denise Bond, Shanika Moore, Lisa Hayes, Ursula, and Keisha Lago Martin. I'd like to ask that you keep them all in your prayers. I also want to wish a happy Administrative Professionals Day to Miss Ursula Green, because of course that was yesterday. And I forgot to get Ursula flowers, but she wasn't in the office yesterday anyway. But nonetheless, we love her. And like I said, I called her and told her that we really appreciate her. And so, because right now, I'm gonna be honest, without Ursula, there is no CB12. I would like to wish happy birthdays to our first vice chair, Miss Ajeria Bennett, whose birthday was on the 2nd, as well as Mr. Ted James, whose birthday was on the 2nd, and Mr. Norbert Bryant, whose birthday was actually yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So Norbert, wish you a happy birthday as well. If you had any wedding anniversaries, happy anniversary. I know Mr. Brown had one last month. Happy Earth Day to everybody. For those that are graduating, happy graduation. But more importantly, because this is the last meeting before Mother's Day, for all of you members of the board that are mothers, as well as members of the community that are mothers, I want to take this opportunity to wish you a happy Mother's Day, because mothers, you are the key to life. Without you, there is no life. I know that I love my mother dearly. And I'm sure most of you love yours dearly. But more importantly, I love the fact that ladies, some of you in particular, Miss Clyde, Miss Sadie, Miss Benitez, Miss Ortiz, and others have treated me like a son. And I want to say that happy Mother's Day to you as well. And like I said, Ursula, Tolene, all of you who are mothers. And if I left you, please forgive me. I know Beatrice, you're one as well. So happy Mother's Day to Mrs. Bond, Mrs. Denise Bond. So all the mothers on Community Board 12 and in the community, happy Mother's Day. So I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Come on, Mike.
Seconded.
Hello, here.
Second.
I would like to say a
Motion's been
prayer
moved
for
and
us,
properly.
please.
Second it.
Hold on.
Been moved and properly seconded. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed have the same right. Motion passes. Miss Lisa Hayes.
No, sorry guys. I just need the names. Who made the motion to adjourn and who seconded? Sorry, it's Carla.
John Isaac made the motion to adjourn, and I forgot who seconded it.
I seconded the board.
Okay, Mrs. Boris. Okay. All right.
Wait, sorry, who seconded?
Ivan Boris.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ivan.
Okay. Lisa.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes I just can't hear.
Okay. All right, Carla. So we're ready to go. It's way too late. So Lisa, can you carry us out?
Okay, we're done. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Take Dr. Hold on. Take Dr. Prayer, guys.
Oh, sorry, Dina, you got a question? I'm sorry, Dina. Okay.
Dr. Dina Roberts wants to say a prayer.
Dina.
Yes, thank you. Let us all bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this meeting of the board, Board 12. Bless our chair and our executive officers. Bless each person. Thank you for their service, Lord. This is such a heavy time. It was hard for me to even wrap my mind around this meeting, Lord, because of what's going on in this country. With all of the deaths and the shootings of our people, please, Lord, may we at the local level get it together, to be together, to fight against the racism in this country, to help change the things that we can, to work against police brutality, to work against the murders of our people, Lord. There's so much going on. My heart is so heavy, and it's just hard to wrap up my mind around the little things. But God, please help us each to be a part of that change, the change that needs to be made. And it starts right here in the local level. I cry in my sleep, Lord, about the things that are happening around this country. I stay glued to the television set, as most of you may have, for the George Floyd trial, Lord. And thank you for what happened, because if it had not come out the way that it had, this country would be torn apart.
That's not a prayer.
At the seams. So thank you for the verdicts, all three. The sentencing and the appeals and everything might make a difference, but you knew exactly what to do. So bless us each one by one, bless us collectively, and please, Lord, let this community board be an example for what needs to be done in this city and this borough. Amen.
Amen.
I think there was a breaking news on CNN. Someone else was killed this evening.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dr. Burke.
Sir.
Alfredo, question. I know we're mentioning a lot of people's name. What's up with our brother Felix Roldan? I haven't. Nobody has.
Well, he's no longer living in the area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's I want to say in Wappingers Falls.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so he's not here anymore. Yeah.
All right, no problem.
But I still have his number. If you want it, I can get it to you.
No, I have his number. I was just wondering, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah. No, he moved upstate.
All right, good.
So I'm gonna take Mr. Frank home, y'all. I think so. Listen, take care, everybody.